Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet.
Gunsmoke. The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Drama this hour with Barrie Craig Confidential Investigator, Gene Hersholdt as Dr. Christian, Orson Welles and Agnes Moorehead as The Shadow, and Dark Fantasy from Oklahoma City, and we'll put a bow on it all with Lum and Abner from back in 1942. That's all straight ahead on this Tuesday. This is the 16th day of January. It is the 350 days left till we get to 2025. 1777, Vermont declared its independence from New York. 1847, John C. Fremont appointed governor of the new California Territory. In 1883, the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act, establishing the civil service, was passed. 1900, the Senate accepted its Anglo-German Treaty of 1899, in which the UK renounced its claim to the Samoan Islands. In 1909, Ernest Shackleton's expedition to find the magnetic South Pole. They found the magnetic South Pole on this date in 1909. Now, in 1919, the U.S. ratified the 18th Amendment to the Constitution, authorizing prohibition in the U.S. 1 year after ratification. In 1938, the famous jazz concert by the Benny Goodman Orchestra and special guests took place at Carnegie Hall in New York City, the first jazz performance in that venue. Sing, sing, sing. What a song. 1945, Adolf Hitler moved into his underground bunker, the so-called Fuhrer bunker. In 1968, the Youth International Party founded the Yippies. 1979, the Shah of Iran fled Iran with his family and relocated to Egypt.
People have just spontaneously swarmed into the streets, all of them shouting, "The Shah has escaped." They are drawing on cars, holding up pictures of Ayatollah Khomeini. It is a moment of great joy in Tehran.
The Shah fled Iran on this date in 1979. In 1986, the first meeting of the Internet Engineering Task Force. In 1991, the U.S. went to war with Iraq, beginning the Gulf War.
Some may ask, why act now? Why not wait? The answer is clear. The world could wait no longer. Sanctions, though having some effect, showed no signs of accomplishing their objective. Sanctions were tried for well over 5 months, and we and our allies concluded that sanctions alone would not force Saddam from Kuwait. While the world waited, Saddam Hussein systematically raped, pillaged, and plundered a tiny nation, no threat to his own. He subjected the people of Kuwait to unspeakable atrocities. While the world waited, Saddam sought to add to the chemical weapons arsenal he now possesses an infinitely more dangerous weapon of mass destruction, a nuclear weapon. And while the world waited, while the world talked peace and withdrawal, Saddam Hussein dug in and moved massive forces into Kuwait. While the world waited, while Saddam stalled, more damage was being done to the fragile economies of the Third World, the emerging democracies of Eastern Europe, to the entire world, including to our own economy. While the world waited, Saddam Hussein met every overture of peace with open contempt. While the world prayed for peace, Saddam prepared for war. Tonight, 28 nations, countries from 5 continents, Europe and Asia, Africa and the Arab League, have forces in the Gulf area standing shoulder to shoulder against Saddam Hussein. These countries had hoped the use of force could be avoided. Regrettably, we now believe that only force will make him leave.
President George Herbert Walker Bush on this date in 1991. In 1992, El Salvador officials and rebels signed a peace accord in Mexico, ending a 12-year civil war that claimed at least 75,000 lives. In 1997, the son of Bill Cosby, Ennis Cosby, shot and killed near Interstate 405 in L.A. in a failed robbery attempt.
I set the coffin down over the hole, and I said, we now want to give praise to God for allowing us to know him. Not for giving him to us, but just letting us know it.
Bill Cosby on the death of his son. Ennis was 28 and Cosby's only son. In 2001, President Clinton awarded former President Theodore Roosevelt a posthumous Medal of Honor for his service in the Spanish-American War. 2002, the Security Council of the United Nations unanimously established an arms embargo and the freezing of assets of Osama bin Laden, al-Qaeda, and the remaining members of the Taliban. In 2003, the Space Shuttle Columbia took off for its mission, which would be its final one. Columbia would disintegrate 16 days later on re-entry. In 2006, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf sworn in as Liberia's new president.
We express to you, our people, our deep sense of appreciation and gratitude for the opportunity to serve you and our common republic.
Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Africa's first female elected head of state. In 2007, Senator Barack Obama launched his bid for the White House, and in 2020, the Senate ratified the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement as a replacement for NAFTA. Among people passing away on this date in history, got a long list. The founder of Marshall Field and Company, Marshall Field, Ma Barker, criminal, actress Carol Lombard, Arturo Toscanini, the creator of the Chipmunks, Ross Bagdasarian Sr., also the man who was Lurch in the Addams Family television show, Ted Cassidy. You rang. Yeah, delightful character. Also actor Ron Carey, you remember him from Barney Miller. And race car driver, commentator Benny Parsons, I should say. The reason I get confused is Jimmy Castor, the singer-songwriter, passing away on this date. The original Dear Abby, Pauline Phillips, her daughter, continues the program to the column to this date. Also, astronaut Eugene Cernan and record producer-songwriter Phil Spector. Among those born on this date include the inventor of that thing you see him driving over the ice, Frank Zamboni, actress-singer Ethel Merman, there's no business like show business, baseball player Dizzy Dean, the founder of the Carl's Jr. hamburger chain, Carl Karcher, also Sterling Silliphant, fine writer, writer Susan Sontag, Celine Dion's husband and manager, Renee Angeli, and Aaliyah, a delightful singer, passing away way too young in a plane crash. Those some of the people born on this date.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
Among those still with us on this date, race car driver, team owner A.J. Foyt, a gentleman whom one of our listeners, Easy Cleghorn, really enjoys, Ronnie Millsap, 81 years old today. Jim Stafford, who still doesn't like spiders and snakes, 80 years old today. Talk show host Dr. Laura Schlesinger, 77. Director John Carpenter, such scary movies he produced, 76 years old today. Debbie Allen, you remember her from Fame? She is 74 today. Singer Sade. He's a smooth operator. Sade, 65 today. From En Vogue, Maxine Jones, 62. From Charles in Charge, you remember that? Josie Davis is 51. Model Kate Moss is 50. And the person who created the Broadway hit Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, is 44 years old today. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 16th day of January as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Alrighty, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now with a 2-hour block of drama here. We start off with William Gargan, and we've talked about the sad story of his life and how he lost his larynx in later years. Wonderful performer, Barrie Craig Confidential Investigator, 72 years ago, January 16th, 1952, The Fatal Appointment. That's up next here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Ladies and gentlemen, make tomorrow your D-Day. Get an extra bond for defense. Step into any bank or post office and buy yourself a profitable share in America's future. As an investment, bonds are better than ever. They can help you save safely, conveniently, and profitably. So whether you already buy on the payroll savings plan where you work or the bond-a-month plan where you bank, get an extra bond for defense tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We start off with some crime drama now on this 2-hour block of drama. Barrie Craig Confidential Investigator, William Gargan starring, from 72 years ago, January 16, 1952, The Fatal Appointment.
William Gargan stars as Barrie Craig, Confidential Investigator.
Spotting a murderer isn't easy. They don't help. They can be anyone, any age, either sex, rich, poor, or in between. They've got one difference, though. They kill people.
The National Broadcasting Company presents William Gargan in another transcribed drama of mystery and adventure with America's #1 detective, Barrie Craig, Confidential Investigator.
Barrie Craig speaking. Lots of people shy away from going to a privatized office. I guess they figure it isn't respectable. I guess when you spend a couple of minutes thinking about it, they're right. It isn't respectable. Because it's a confession that something's wrong with their lives. And what's wrong is rarely a bookkeeping error or a mistake in spelling.
You don't care for the hamburger, Craig?
Huh? Oh, the hamburger's fine, Willie.
Then stop looking at it like it was still alive.
I wouldn't worry about it.
No?
No. Even if it was still struggling, your coffee would kill it.
What's the matter with the coffee you get at Willie's Wagon?
Nothing. I'm sure you use only the finest grade of sulfuric acid in it.
You got a tender stomach?
I doubt it. I'm still alive.
Yeah, fine type of customer I get here. Wise guys. Wise guys?
Hmm?
Look at your hamburger. She ain't in your price class.
Who? Oh, say, you could be right.
That fur she's dragging around was contributed by only the highest type minks.
You'd better wait on her. She might get impatient.
I can't.
Huh?
I ain't had a manicure in weeks.
You are Mr. Craig.
I am?
I waited outside the building in which you have your office until you left. I followed you here.
You're allergic to offices?
Well, I couldn't... do you mind talking business here?
Would you like something to eat or drink?
No.
Willie, go polish your coffee iron.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Well, don't need it.
You're,
Viola Henning. Mrs. Viola Henning.
Uh-huh. And the business you wanted to talk about was...
My husband is keeping an appointment tonight, and I want you to... Well, to...
An appointment with whom? A business associate?
No. With a girl. A girl named Muriel.
I see. Where?
The Grammont Hotel.
She works there?
No. She's taken a room there. I overheard my husband making the appointment.
I don't especially go for divorce cases.
Oh, no, it isn't for that. I'd never divorce Dan. I just want to know.
What time's the appointment?
8.
And all you want to know is if your husband, in fact, does keep this appointment.
Yes. Would $100 be enough?
Oh, more than enough.
Then here you are.
Thanks.
You won't tell anyone.
Investigators with loose mouths don't last very long, Mrs. Henning.
I suppose not. I'll phone you in the morning.
Fine.
Good night.
Good night. Yeah.
For that, you need a license?
Huh?
The babe and the minx.
Just a case, Willie, on the face of it.
The face wasn't bad.
No, but what's underneath? I killed some time with Willie. His feeling is he's a very good gin player. I won enough hamburger for half a dozen cases of acute indigestion and then went on to the Hotel Grammont. I let the clerk in on my little secret. I told him I was looking for a maiden aunt. For $5, he believed me. I found a Muriel who'd booked a room at 8 o'clock. The full name was Muriel Jones. Jones. The room number was 807. The time was 20 minutes after 8. I decided I'd be the boy bringing the ice water. Maybe they hadn't ordered ice water. That would be all right. I didn't have any with me. I lifted my hand to knock, and I didn't get around to it. The door was locked. Nothing happened after the shot, so I knocked after all. Maybe I was naive, but kicking the door in didn't seem practical. I turned out to be right.
Mr. Craig!
Hello, Mrs. Henning. Mind if I come in?
No.
There was a girl lying on the floor. Her eyes were open, and they stared up at the ceiling of the room. It wasn't a very interesting ceiling, but that didn't matter. She wasn't seeing it. Dead. Who was she?
Muriel. The girl I told
Yeah. Except you didn't mention you were also planning on showing up here.
I couldn't help it. I had to see her.
She isn't much worth looking at right now. 2-room suite. That the back door?
I don't know.
Yeah. Back door and fire stairs. What else couldn't you help, Mrs. Henning?
You don't have to be so indirect, Mr. Craig.
That means what?
I killed her.
Uh-huh. What's her name?
Muriel. Muriel Jones.
No.
Why do you say no?
That dress she's wearing. Too good for a hotel like this.
That's the only name I knew her by.
Those gloves you're wearing.
They're for driving. Well, that is, I wore them so that I wouldn't leave fingerprints.
It doesn't explain why you didn't use that back door to get out of here after you shot her.
I changed my mind about hiding my guilt.
Tell me how you killed her. Start outside in the hallway. You came to the door, you knocked.
Yes.
She opened the door.
When I came in, she shut the door. She didn't know who I was. I told her.
She liked that?
It didn't seem to matter to her. I accused her of taking my husband from me. She laughed at me. So I shot her.
You had a gun?
Yes.
You shot her. She fell down and died. You heard me knock. You hesitated, then you opened the door.
Yes.
I've had time to look around the room. I've looked.
What difference does that make?
You say you shot her.
I did.
What did you do with the gun? Eat it? Mrs. Henning didn't have any answers. I found a phone and let her notify Homicide that she'd been out hunting. I left her in that hotel room with the dead girl. Both of them would wait. The butler at the Henning home didn't seem delighted to see me. I think it was my tie bothered him most. I figured if I ever wanted to visit again, I'd get it hand-painted.
Johns tells me your name is Craig.
Johns tells you the truth, Mr. Henning.
Yes. Well, what...
I'm a confidential investigator. I could show you credentials.
Oh, there's no reason to waste them on me. What can I do for you?
Is your wife in?
My wife? Why, yes, she's upstairs asleep.
Asleep? It's a little early for that, isn't it?
I don't see how that's any of your concern.
I guess you don't. Would you mind asking her to come downstairs?
I most certainly would.
I'm afraid you'll have to anyway.
I don't see why.
You're not curious enough about why a private detective is calling?
I'm merely assuming that you'll inform me sooner or later.
Let's say for the time being that it's because your wife hired me to do a job for her.
What job?
The information is confidential.
I refuse to believe
That's silly. All you have to do is ask your wife.
Well, yes, but...
Or are you afraid to?
I resent...
Don't bother resenting. Check with your wife. If she doesn't want to come down, you can throw me out.
Well, all right.
I didn't know exactly what made him go through with it. Maybe it was because his tie was already hand-painted.
Mr. Craig?
Yeah?
My wife isn't feeling very well. She can't come down.
Uh-huh. When did you see Muriel Jones last?
Jones?
Let's just leave it at Muriel. We'll discuss last name some other time.
We won't discuss it at all.
You're not very big. I could push you aside and go upstairs.
You wouldn't do that.
Oh, you're not sure of that. So when did you see Muriel last?
Well, why not ask the lady?
Oh, there's a technical difficulty. She's dead.
She's what?
Dead.
You're quite serious?
It's not a good subject to joke about.
Well, how did she...
She was murdered.
Oh. Well, who would want to kill her?
That might depend on who she really was.
Her name was Muriel Carter. She sang at the Bright Star. Her voice was very beautiful.
She's still dead.
I find that hard to believe. She had such a rare quality.
It didn't stop the murderer.
She was, in her way and in our time, a lovely princess.
I've heard of the Bright Star. It's run by a man named Thompson. He's short, fat, and greedy. As far as I know, he doesn't hire princesses.
Now, what do you mean by that? She sang for Thompson, that's all.
And what did she do for you?
I think you'd better get out.
I'd like to, except I've got a client. I'm in the middle, whether I like it or not. I could say I don't like it, but what good would that do? Did you keep your appointment at the Grammont Hotel tonight?
That's none of your... I had no appointment tonight.
It might pay you to keep in touch with your wife. Good night, Henning.
Good night.
Your wife, who's upstairs and not very well.
Yes?
By this time, she's also downtown having a conversation with the district attorney. Did I say good night? Mr. Henning's face over the hand-painted tie wasn't very nice to look at. I stopped looking at it, climbed into my car, and got away from there. It took me a while to notice the black coupe on my tail. When I did, I decided I didn't like it. Halfway down a block, I swung my car across the road and got out. The car tailing me burned brake lining and managed to pull up.
Hey, get that car out of my way.
What was that?
I said get that car out of my way.
Maybe you'd better help me. Get out.
You a wise guy something? You're blocking traffic.
What traffic?
Okay, wise guy, I'll get out.
That's better.
Hey,
You're looking for me?
Let go of my arm. Who do you think you are?
Who do you think I am?
Okay. Now maybe you won't be so smart.
That's a nice gun. Got a license for it?
You in the license business?
No, but... Hey! I'll borrow it. Thanks.
You can't.
Who put you on my tail?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who put you on my tail?
You'd like to know, wouldn't you? Hey, you can't get away with beating me up.
Am I going to beat you up?
Then let go.
Actually, I don't know. I could.
Look, it won't get you no place.
I'm not going any place. I've got lots of time for you.
Let go of me, will you?
How can I? I'm trying to decide.
Decide what?
Whether to beat you up or not.
You got my gun. You're bigger than I am.
That's right, so maybe you better tell me. Who put you on me?
Mac Thompson.
Thompson? Gentleman who runs the Bright Star, huh? Pull your car over to the curb. We'll ride in mine. I kind of need a star in my life, especially a bright star. His name was Lester. He wasn't very brave without a gun. Gunmen rarely are. He pulled his car over to the curb, got into mine, and we went to the Bright Star. We didn't disturb the customers. We used a back entrance, the kind of entrance I was accustomed to. Private investigators don't rate socially.
This here's Mr. Thompson's office.
Don't knock.
Mr. Thompson.
Lester, what are you doing here?
He's trailing me. He trailed me right into your office, Thompson.
I had a little trouble with him. He's got my gun.
Indeed. And you'd be,
Craig. Barrie Craig.
Oh, a boy with a license. I might mention that Lester has a license for that gun of his, too.
Makes it nice for the city taxes.
You, could get into trouble taking his gun, Craig.
He could get into worse trouble pointing it at people.
Oh, he threw his weight around, Mr. Thompson.
All right, get out, Lester.
Okay, only you ain't sore at me, Mr. Thompson. I couldn't help it.
Get out.
Yeah, Mr. Thompson. Yeah.
Lester isn't a very strong character.
I wasn't a character analysis of Lester that brought you here, Craig.
No.
Now, I don't want any trouble with you. I don't think you want any with me. I have a friend or two in the department.
That's nice.
That license you own has to be renewed every year.
Now you're frightening me.
I have no intention to, merely making things clear.
Thanks. Now, would you make it clear why you put Lester on my tail?
I didn't. He misunderstood his instructions.
Uh-huh. How was Muriel's act tonight?
Muriel?
Muriel Carter.
She didn't appear tonight.
Why not?
Well, you know how these things are.
I don't. Thompson, where were you around 8:15 tonight?
Here, reading a good book.
How many witnesses?
4, 8. How many would you like?
You've got a large payroll.
Thank you. Now that you've stopped imitating a detective, what happened at 8:15 tonight?
Muriel Carter quit the Bright Star.
You practicing to be a theatrical agent?
2 bullets hit her.
Oh? How sordid.
Not to mention fatal. You know something? I'd like to have the gun those bullets came out of.
At 8:15 tonight, I was here reading a good book. 8 witnesses, Craig.
That ought to be enough. Thompson.
Yes?
I don't believe the performance.
I beg your pardon?
You're playing it too tough, too straight.
Which means?
I think you went for her.
That may be true. It's a habit of mine.
I've seen her. More than habit, Thompson. She was worth a gross of your ordinary stock.
Possibly. So I'm all broken up inside by the news.
It wasn't news. Why was Lester staked out at the Henning home?
Good night, Mr. Craig.
I'm still looking for that gun. Good night. The hallway outside Thompson's office had run out of lights. It was dark, and I headed for the floor quick, but halfway down I found out it wasn't entirely my own idea. You get knocked unconscious, and it's dull for a while. Because you're unconscious. But after a while, things change. Something began to pound. It must have taken me 20 minutes to discover it was my own head. I lifted it off the ground, and the air smelled good, which meant I'd travel. There were trees around and a sky. From which handful of facts I deduced I was out in the country. The gun someone had been careful to put in my hand was still warm. I got to my feet and crossed over to him. He was lying a dozen feet away. Dying hadn't improved his looks any. Lester was very dead. It wasn't a frame-up especially. It wouldn't stick. But it did help use up time. Time? For what? Headquarters had a nice green lamp burning outside.
The trouble with hanging around police headquarters is you can't ever lock the front door.
Hello, Lieutenant Rogers.
Anybody comes in. Even... Hold on a minute while I look around and whisper. Even private detectives.
Some fun.
Barrie, you're not your usual blithe and buxom self.
No background.
If you start dragging in my college degree...
Hide your Phi Beta Kappa key and send a couple of your boys out to my car.
There's something different about your car tonight?
Yeah. I've got a corpse in it.
Oh, Ducky. Anybody I know?
I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, say, Trav, I'd like to talk to Mrs. Henning.
I've seen her. I'd like to talk to her, too.
What?
The district attorney didn't care for her confession. She didn't have a gun to go with it. So he threw her out.
How long ago?
An hour, maybe. Why?
I want to talk to her.
You're keeping it on a very high moral plane. Barrie, why do you think she confessed to the killing?
Maybe because she loved her husband. I understand it happened.
It must be something special.
Sure. Wears hand-painted ties. So long, Trav.
Would you like company? I talk very politely.
Forget it. I'll be back later. Maybe I'll even tell you about the corpse you've got. My head didn't feel too good. Maybe I was wrong. I'd find out. The Henning house was dark when I got to it. I didn't worry about the butler much. It turned out that I didn't have to. The front door was open. The skating rink they used for a foyer was dark, but a line of light under the door down the hall told me where I wanted to go. Nobody noticed my low bow as I went through the door.
Oh, Mr. Craig!
Which way?
The window.
Caught a tail light going around the corner outside. There's nothing special about a tail light. I was late. Mrs. Henning. She fainted. It was a break for her. She could stop looking at her husband. As for him, maybe he was looking at something, but it wasn't anything a pair of living eyes could see. Lieutenant Rogers, homicide. Trav? Barrie. I'm at Mrs. Henning's home. Yeah. It also used to be Mr. Henning's home, but he won't be living here anymore. He's moving into smaller quarters. Underground. Take it easy, Mrs. Henning. You've got lots of time to settle down with your husband's death.
It isn't possible.
It's possible. It happens all the time.
But who could have done...
That's for later. You wouldn't want to confess to this murder, too, would you?
How can you say things like that?
Practice. I need a little information, quick. The truth, maybe. What happened at the Grammont Hotel? For real?
The hotel? I got there after Dan did. From the hallway, I could hear him and that girl quarreling. And then the shots. I wanted to run, but I went in. Dan wasn't there, but... Oh, I can't go on with this.
You don't have to. Just hang around and greet the cops, huh? No matter how many times you've seen the dead, they still don't appeal to you, even with hand-painted ties. I concentrated on the furnishings. They were nice. They weren't the kind of stuff you buy if you're a private investigator. I stopped being morbid and just waited for the cops. They came.
I brought a few friends along, Barrie. Do you mind?
I don't mind, Tran.
I was worried. Where's the object of our affections?
Over near the window.
I hope he hasn't left. He hasn't left. Boys, make with the routine, huh? Wouldn't he cash a check for you?
I'm not killing people this week.
Mrs. Henning?
No. Henning was shot from outside the window. Mrs. Henning was in the room when I arrived and heard the shots.
That's nice. Maybe it's the perfect crime.
Maybe. Mrs. Henning's in her bedroom. I imagine she'll wake up if you knock. So long.
And where, if I'm not too inquisitive, would you be going?
You're too inquisitive.
Barrie!
Don't worry about it. All I'm doing is looking for a star to hitch a wagon to. A death wagon. I figured Mr. Thompson wouldn't be expecting action very quick. I'd been lucky, or maybe it was just because my head was so hard. I'd come to after the sapping in a hurry. I'd been in a hurry since then. I was still in a hurry.
Who is it?
I didn't build that door very strong.
Craig.
Craig. Hello, Thompson.
You wrecked that door.
I'm too stupid to knock.
Hold it where you are.
What a nice big gun you've got, Grandma.
I said stop.
Okay. I'm up against your desk anyway. Nice hunk of mahogany.
What do you want?
You.
Look, I'm in no mood.
This isn't comedy. I want you for murder, Thompson.
Why don't you come and get me?
I will if I have to.
You under the impression you're bulletproof?
I'm glad you reminded me. Very nice hunk of mahogany. Pity it got in your way. I hadn't hit him very hard. He came to after a while, and we went down to headquarters.
Barrie, where?
Did I go after Henning died? I went to collect Mr. Thompson here. He's going to stay for a while.
You might mention a few charges.
Sure. Murder. Murder of a man named Lester. Murder of a man named Dan Henning. Good enough?
Very good. Any objections, Thompson?
No objections. I killed Lester. He was a weak character. Craig made a point of it. He was tying me in too tightly.
The boy's got good grammar.
I'm appreciating it. How about Henning? Why kill him?
Because he murdered Muriel. You didn't know it, did you? He murdered Muriel. And even now, with me where I am, I can almost figure it's worth it. You see, I did know her.
I left Thompson with Lieutenant Rogers. Maybe, according to his own bookkeeping, he'd been right. I'd seen Muriel Carter and was willing to give him an outside doubt. My job wasn't finished, though. I had a final report to make to my client.
Mr. Craig,
Yeah. Mind if I come in?
I don't think I'll ever mind anything anymore. Come in.
Thank you.
The police are gone. They took Dan.
You better sit down.
Yes, hadn't I?
You hired me. I've got to finish things up.
Things? What things? I didn't know there was anything left.
Oh, nothing important, but... Mrs. Henning, did your husband ever wear driving gloves?
No.
Or any other kind?
No, he didn't.
Thompson's been arrested. Thompson's the man who killed your husband.
Oh? Well, that won't help Dan, will it?
No. Thompson was in love with Muriel Carter.
He had company.
The only thing is, Thompson wasn't the one who killed Muriel.
I know. What does it matter?
That confession you handed me at the hotel didn't make very much sense without the gun.
That's what the district attorney said.
The cops found the gun.
Did they?
It belonged to your husband. They found his prints on it. Very clear prints.
Why bother?
Too clear.
Too clear, Mr. Craig?
That's right.
But...
A man fires a gun, the prints tend to be smudged a bit from handling. But suppose a gun is wiped clean. Then the man's fingers are carefully pressed on the handle. Then you'd have his prints. But they'd be too clear.
I never knew that.
I guess you didn't.
Why are you telling all this to me?
You're my client. Your husband didn't wear gloves. The police give a murder suspect the paraffin test. Matter of routine. You see, when a man fires a gun, small powder particles are embedded in the skin.
Oh?
Your husband hadn't fired a gun recently.
Well, but... Look, I'm tired. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. With Dan dead, they've got his murderer. Why did they make all these tests?
Well, I suggested it. Because Muriel Carter was registered at the Grammont Hotel as Muriel Jones.
She was ashamed.
A club singer? Working for a man like Thompson?
She was going to meet Dan.
No. She didn't take that room for romance. She took it for a meeting with you.
This is so confusing.
You were jealous. You hated Muriel Carter. You arranged that meeting at the Grammont Hotel. You suggested she register under an assumed name. It would look shadier that way.
Shadier? To whom?
Me, the private detective you hired in good faith.
Oh.
You let your husband know about the meeting. That's why he was there. That's why he took the gun away with him. That's why he lied to me later, said you were upstairs sleeping.
That isn't why
Excuse me, I should have said how. The why was because he may have loved you once. You made your confession, nobody believed. Thompson figured your husband for the killer and killed him in turn. But there was something wrong. The paraffin test showed your husband hadn't killed Muriel Carter.
Then who did?
I'm a funny kind of investigator, Mrs. Henning. Most guys in my business get cynical. They wouldn't believe you if you told them the time, unless you had 39 witnesses and a testimonial from your neighborhood church.
And you?
Oh, I'm different. I always believe a client. That's why we better get started, Mrs. Henning.
We're going...
Downtown, headquarters, where they'll put you under arrest for murder. One way and another, the evidence is all there. You see, when you made that confession in the hotel room, I believed you. Good night, folks. See you next week.
have been listening to William Gargan in another exciting transcribed mystery drama from the adventures of Barrie Craig, Confidential Investigator. Tonight's story, Fatal Appointment, was written by Lou Vittis. Next week, it's the strange story titled The Deadly Fight, about which Barrie Craig has this to say.
Next week, I meet a widow who can't find tears, an obituary notice in search of a corpse, and a boxing champ whose biggest win is a fight strictly off the record. See you next week, folks.
Featured in the role of Viola was Joan Alexander. Barrie Craig, starring William Gargan, was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is Don Pardo speaking.
Yes, that's the same Don Pardo that for years was the announcer on Jeopardy! And on Saturday Night Live. It's amazing what you discover in these old radio shows. Barrie Craig Confidential Investigator, 72 years ago, January 16th, 1952, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Gene Hersholdt, starring as Dr. Christian, is up next.
Keep your guard up. That's the key slogan of the 1950 National Guard recruiting drive, and it's a slogan as timely as today's headlines. More than ever before, America stands prepared, and the National Guard must recruit approximately 220,000 men as soon as possible. By joining the National Guard, young men will have the advantage of choosing their own unit and preparing themselves for promotion by being in a job for which they are best qualified. Investigate the National Guard now. Help America to keep up its guard.
This is Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. I am Wyatt Cox. Like you care. Now, an episode of Dr. Christian starring Gene Hersholdt, going back 86 years, January 16th, 1938. This episode entitled The Flood.
From Hollywood, California, we bring you Chapter 11 in the Chronicles of River's End. The star of the show, Gene Hersholdt, in his greatest of all roles. The title of the show, Dr. Christian. The sponsor of the show, the Cheeseboro Manufacturing Company, owners of the trademark Vaseline. One of the family of Vaseline products we've mentioned on this Dr. Christian program is Vaseline Camphor Ice. And we've received many letters from people thanking us for calling this useful product to their attention again. Here's one from a girl in Elmira, New York. She says,
When I heard you say on the program that Vaseline Camphor Ice was a thing to use for chapped lips, I made up my mind to buy a stick of it. And when I went to the store to get it, I was amazed to find that I could also get a small edition of it called Vaseline Lip Ice, made just like a lipstick and easy to carry around in my bag. The druggist explained it came in white and red, and I chose the red one. It's simply swell for chapped lips. In fact, since I've been using it regularly, my lips have not been chapped at all. I use the big 10-cent stick for chapped hands and that rough place on the back of my heels. It works right into the skin and makes it marvelously soft. Thank you, Mr. Gene Hersholdt, for a wonderful program. The products you advertise are as good as the stories. I'm crazy to see you and Sonia Henney in the new picture, Happy Landing. It's coming to my local theater soon. I hope you sell enough Vaseline products to stay on the radio a long, long time.
Well, young lady, Gene Hersholdt joins us in thanking you for your nice letter. We enjoy hearing from our fans, so write again. And so to today's story of Dr. Paul Christian. As the scene opens, it is 7 o'clock in the evening, and Dr. Christian and his friend Roy Davis, the druggist, are having a game of checkers in the doctor's office.
Let's see. Well, it looks as if you've got me this time, Doc, but I'll make this move. Yes, Roy, I think I have. Well, at that, there are worse checker players than I am.
Hmm?
I said there are worse checker players than I am.
Yes, I was just trying to think of one.
Well, that's a game apiece. You want to play off the tie?
Sure, it's an hour and a half before the bus gets in. Might as well give you a good trimming.
The bus?
Oh, didn't I tell you? Judy's back from a vacation in Hollywood.
No, is she?
Mm-hmm. Her train got into the city at 2 o'clock this afternoon. She phoned me and said that she was catching the 8:30 Riverside bus.
Well, you're lucky to get her back. I thought you might stay out there and try to crash the movie.
No, not Judy. Besides, she's got another little reason for coming back. In fact, it's not such a little reason at that. 6 feet tall and weighs about 190 pounds.
Jerry Turner?
Mm-hmm, Jerry Turner.
They're not exactly engaged, are they?
No, but I know the symptoms. And I'd say the case is already in its secondary stage.
Well, I hope it's incurable. They're a couple of swell kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just a minute, Roy. Hello? Yes, this is Dr. Christian. Judy will be home tonight. You're welcome. That phone's been going all day. Whatever you do, Roy, don't get mixed up with the telephone. Now, let's see. Where were we?
Your move.
Oh, yes. Well, if you have a notion that I'm going to... Wait a minute. Hello? Oh, hello, Susan. Yes, Judy will be back this evening. Oh, it's no trouble at all. Goodbye. My move? Well, Roy, I'm going to show you a new trick. Instead of the... Judy will be home this evening.
I should think it would be a lot less trouble if you just put a notice in the paper.
Well, the next time anyone asks me about Judy, I'm going to lose my temper and do something I'll be sorry for. Your move?
No, it's still yours.
All right. I think I'll just let you...
Doc, you heard from Judy?
Now, be careful, Doc. Don't shoot.
Say, what...
He's young, Doc. Now, don't shoot him.
Hey, what is this?
Oh, hello, Jerry. Oh, it's just Roy's idea of a joke.
Joke? Well, all I can say is it's a good thing for you, Jerry, that I got him calmed down. You should have seen him. Positively raging every time the phone rang. I tell you, when you interrupt Doc's checker game, he's... Now, wait. Now, just keep cool. Don't get excited, Doctor. I'll answer. Hello? Oh, this is Roy Davis speaking. Well, didn't Al attend to that? Okay, I'll be right over. Got to get back to the store.
I want you, Roy, to leave telephones alone.
See you in the morning, Doc.
All right, Roy.
Come on, Jerry.
Come on. Say, Dr. Christian, you got a pair of scissors handy?
Yeah, I think there's a pair in the drawer here.
I want to cut the string on this box.
Yeah, there you are.
Thanks.
Oh, my goodness. Where did you get such wonderful roses at this time of year?
I had one of the bus drivers bring them from the city. Let's see, now where can I put them so Judy won't miss them when she comes to the office in the morning?
Wait. I'll get you a vase.
I hope they'll keep until morning.
Oh, I'll put some water in it. They'll keep.
Hey, how about putting them over here on the table, huh?
No. Put them right smack in center of her desk.
Well, not much at arranging flowers, but... They don't look so bad on the desk at that, huh?
Well, she'll be crazy about them.
Well, I guess I'd better beat it along home and change my clothes.
Oh, what do you want to change your clothes for? You look all right the way you are.
Oh, not for an special occasion like this.
Well...
Tonight, I'm dolling up.
I'll see you at the bus station.
Okay, but I warn you, you're only going to have a chance to say hello to her. After that, she's mine.
All right, Jerry.
Say, you're sure she'll see those roses on her desk all right, huh?
Now, how can she miss them? She'll see them the first thing she does when she comes into the office in the morning.
Well, don't mention roses to her tonight.
Oh, no, I won't.
I want her to be surprised when she comes in and...
Dr. Christian!
Why, Judy!
And Jerry. Oh, it's so good to see you, both of you.
Well, it's good to see you, too,
we
but...
thought you were coming on the 8:30.
Come on in, Bill. Dr. Christian, this is Mr. Conway.
How do you do, Dr. Christian?
Well, how do you do?
And Mr. Conway, Jerry Turner.
Oh, how do you do?
Well, this is a surprise.
Ah, you don't know the half of it.
We were going to meet you at the station.
Well, I'm afraid that's my fault. Judy and I came east on the same train. I live in the city, you know, so I didn't see why she should have to wait for the bus when my car was right in the garage.
Oh, you drove from the city?
Uh-huh, we just got here. Haven't even been home yet.
We'll say if Mr. Conway's in a hurry to get back, why...
Oh, I'm taking him to the house to meet my family.
Oh.
Well, Judy,
How does it seem to be back?
Ah, grand.
Well, I don't know. Tomorrow morning the work starts. You'll be back at your, desk.
I love it.
Oh, but you don't need to be at your desk too early. Maybe you'd better sleep late and get a little rest.
Rest? Oh, the way Bill and I have been going places, it's Hollywood that needs the rest.
Oh, you met Mr. Conway in Hollywood, huh?
Yes.
Did you see any of the picture studios?
Oh, we spent a whole day at 20th Century Fox. So I'm shooting a picture and everything.
I don't suppose you saw any of the big executives at their desks.
No, but we met some of the stars. Bill knows everybody in Hollywood.
Well, not exactly everybody. My father has some connections out there which come in handy. Oh, perhaps you know my father, Dr. Christian. D.J. Conway?
Senator Conway?
Yes.
Sure I do. That is, I don't really know him, but I've heard a lot about him.
He's heard a lot about you, too.
Ah, you bet he has.
In fact, I saw his picture in the paper just the other day, sitting at his desk.
Well, we'd better be getting along or we'll be late for dinner.
Good evening, Dr. Christian. I'll be seeing you again.
Good evening.
Good night.
Say, Judy, I'd sort of planned to...
Goodbye, Turner.
I'll be in early tomorrow, Dr. Christian, because I've got a big surprise for you.
An ounce of prevention, says the old saw, is worth a pound of cure. It would help enormously to keep your hair if you would begin early in life to take the best possible care of your scalp. One thing you can do is to keep the scalp clean, really clean, with weekly applications of Vaseline hair tonic rubbed well into the scalp until the tightness is relieved, the accumulated surface dirt is loosened, and the hair roots are enriched with the new food supply brought them by the increased blood supply that results from friction and stimulation of the circulation in the scalp. After such a workout, the hair should be shampooed, dried, and dressed with a light application of the tonic to keep it smooth and well groomed. Vaseline hair tonic comes in two sizes, priced at 40 and 70 cents. The 40-cent size contains enough for from 6 to 10 weekly scalp treatments, in addition to daily grooming. Remember, you cannot begin this needed scalp treatment too soon. So get a bottle of Vaseline hair tonic tomorrow and use it. We return you now to Dr. Christian's office, where Judy is busily pounding the typewriter.
Sure is pouring. Turning warmer, too. Looks like the January thaw is here, all right.
Oh, hasn't the rain let up yet?
No, coming down harder than ever. All ready to go?
Oh, I can't leave yet, Jerry. Dr. Christian isn't back.
Why, it's after 6 o'clock. Where is he?
He had to take a patient to the hospital. He rushed out of here this morning before I had a chance to say a word to him.
Well, I'll stick around. He ought to be showing up pretty soon.
But, Jerry, if it's a serious case, he may not be back until late.
Oh, you can't go home by yourself in this rain anyway. You haven't any other plans, have you?
No. Why?
Well, I just thought I'd ask. Thought maybe your friend, Mr. Conway, might be around.
Oh, he went back to the city last night.
How'd you happen to meet him anyway?
Oh, I met him in Hollywood.
Well, sure, I know, but how? What'd he do? Just bust up to you and say hello?
No, we were quite properly introduced, if that's what you mean. Why, Jerry, you don't think he's important, do you?
No, except in his own estimation.
I don't think that's very funny.
Well, of course, when it comes to being funny, I couldn't compete with him.
You're not being very nice. Bill Conway's a friend of mine. When I was in Hollywood, he treated me marvelously.
Okay. I'm not saying anything against him. But if he's the kind of guy you'd fall for...
Who said anything about falling for
Well, you
him?
certainly acted as if you had last night.
I didn't either. Anybody's likely to be a little excited, just getting home from a trip. And about those roses on my desk. Honestly, Jerry, I didn't notice them.
I know you didn't, Judy. I'm sorry I brought it up.
Well, maybe that's Dr. Christian now. Dr. Christian's office? Oh, hello. Yes. Yes, I didn't recognize your voice. No, I haven't had a chance to talk to Dr. Christian about it. Well, where are you now? Oh, you're kidding. Of course you are. No, I can't. No, honestly. Well, all right. Oh, I'll be here till 9 o'clock. All right, I will. Goodbye.
Who was that?
Why?
Who was it?
Well, if you have to know, Jerry, it was Bill Conway.
I thought so. And he's coming here, isn't he? Well, isn't he?
What if he is?
Giving me that stuff about not having any plans for this evening. Telling me he'd gone back to the city. Why, you've had a date with him all the time.
You think I've been lying?
You ought to know. No wonder you've been so anxious to get rid of me. Well, go ahead. Go out with your stuck-up tailor's dummy. See if I care.
Ha ha, you're just jealous because he has a lot of polish.
Yeah, so is the kid that shines my shoes. But I'll tell you one thing. You better keep him away from me if you don't want him mussed up.
Oh, look at the big, strong caveman. One punch and he'll cave in.
Is that so? Well, let me tell you something. I've had just about...
Tell you what, Jerry.
Tell us he's just leaving.
You're doggone right, I
Well, what's the matter with Jerry? Where's he going in such a rush?
Oh, he said something about having his shoes shined.
Well, it'll get him all splashed up in this rain. Oh, I'm tired.
Were you at the hospital all day?
Till 4 o'clock this afternoon. Mrs. Morrow.
Nothing serious.
An appendectomy.
Oh.
So she's getting along all right. What about this afternoon's appointments?
I canceled them all.
No,
Have
I
the
better...
list here.
I see. I better phone and find out if there's anything urgent. If there is, I can make some calls this evening.
Oh, you're not going out on a night like this.
Well, if I don't, who will?
Oh, let them go till tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I wish I could. Let's see the list.
Now, wait just a minute. Don't get up because I'm going to tell you my big surprise. Maybe a little bit of a shock.
Hmm?
You're through working day and night, catching your sleep when you can get it, being on the job 24 hours. It's finished.
Finished?
Yes. Everything's all settled. Next spring, you start a whole new life.
Next spring I started... Judy, you're not ill, are you?
No, I'm perfectly well and perfectly sane.
Well, then it must be me. There's something wrong with one of us.
Well, if you'll only listen a minute. Bill Conway and I talked the whole thing over. That's the news I mentioned last night. It's all arranged for you to quit next spring.
You and Bill Conway arranged it?
Yes,
Well, I'm glad you told me about it.
But that isn't all.
Oh, there's some more. Well, now that you got me out of a job, possibly you made some arrangement about how I'll manage to eat.
Please don't joke about it. I'm serious. Before Bill and I left the city yesterday afternoon, we had a long talk with Bill's father. There's to be a medical commission appointed in Washington next spring, and you're to be the head of it. You'll be supplied with a secretary, who'll be me, and you'll have
Wait a minute here. A medical commission?
To make a 3-year study of medical care for the common people. It's right in your line. Senator Conway said so himself, because they want a man who's had actual experience and knows the problems of both the doctor and the public. With your experience, you're just the man. And you'll have an office in Washington, D.C.,
And leave Riversand? No, that's impossible.
Why is it impossible?
Well, you see, I don't...
See, you can't think of one good reason.
Well, I'll have to give up my practice here.
Well, there'll be other doctors on the commission. They'll have to give up theirs, too. If they can do it.
Oh, it's out of the question, Judy. Oh, you shouldn't have bothered the senator with it.
He was tickled to death to think you'd even consider it. Oh, please, Dr. Christian. Don't you see this as your one big chance?
Oh, but I can't.
Oh, don't say no. At least wait till Bill comes and talk it over with him. He's on his way now. He phoned me from a service station. He'd be here in 10 minutes. Now, just wait until...
Well, you like taking a beating at Checkers this evening, Doc?
No, hello, Roy. No, I've got something to think about.
Dr. Christian's going to be appointed head of a medical commission in Washington.
What's that?
Senator Conway's going to recommend him.
Well, say, this is news. In Washington, eh?
Yeah, but I'm not going to accept.
Oh, nonsense. It's a tremendous honor. You must accept.
He'll be a national figure, making a marvelous reputation.
May I come in?
Oh, yes, come in, Mr. Conway.
Hello, Judy.
Hello.
Mr. Conway, Mr. Davis.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Davis?
Bill's father is Senator Conway.
Oh, yes. Well, Mr. Conway, your father is recommending a fine man for the National Medical Commission.
I'm sure of that. In fact, when we mentioned Dr. Christian to Dad, he seemed to know all about him. Well, Doctor, is everything all set?
Well, I don't know. It's been kind of sudden.
Sure, it's all set.
Giving up my practice here, well, it's not going to be so easy.
But you'll have plenty of time to make plans. The commission won't meet until spring.
Well, I'll have to think it over.
Oh, of course. And if there are any difficulties Dad can iron out for you, I'm sure he'll be glad to do it, because he's counting on you.
There won't be any difficulties.
Well, confidentially, I'm counting on him, too. You see, I want Judy in Washington when I'm there next spring, so my motives are purely selfish.
Well, we'll be there. This is one time when I...
Christian.
Why, Jerry.
The ice jam up the river's broken.
What?
The river's a torrent, still rising. The bottomland's already flooded. They're getting people out of the houses now. You'd better hurry.
Where they taking them?
Most of them to the Powell's place. But if the river keeps rising, that's going to be flooded, too.
Was anyone drowned?
I don't know.
Wait till I get my kit. And, Roy, you and Judy better come along, too.
All right.
We'll need all the help we can get.
Where's that raincoat you brought me, Jerry?
I've got it out in the car.
Is your car outside?
Yeah.
All right, I'll meet you there. I'm going back to the store, get some bandages and things.
Well, hurry, Roy.
All right, I'll go along with you.
You, Conway? Now, you better not. You might get your clothes muddy.
All the same, I think I'll go.
All right, that's swell. We'll stick right together, because as soon as we're through, I've got something to say to you.
Well, there comes the car now.
Doc, all right. I guess we got here ahead of him. Hey, Doc! Doc! Is Judy with you, Doc?
Yes, Judy and Conway.
Better have a look at Jim Morgan here.
What's the matter with Jim?
It's my hand, Doc. He was trying to get our furniture out, and I mashed it between the box I was carrying and the door.
Come on, you guys. We got to get the stock out of the barn. We can open the door.
Come over here by the headlights of the car, Jim.
All right, Doc.
Let me take a look at it.
Anything I can do, Dr. Christian?
Yes, get me my kit. And tell Judy that I want those bandages.
All right.
Now, let's see, Jim.
Gosh, it sure hurts, Doc.
Yes, you did a good job mashing that hand. Why didn't you dress it for him?
He wouldn't let me touch it. Wanted you to look at it.
Here you are, Dr. Christian.
Thanks. Now, this might hurt a little bit, Jim.
I guess I can stand it, Doc. Oh, Doc.
Yes, I know it burns a little, but it'll stop in a minute. Bandages.
Yes, here.
It's a good thing you come along, Doc. But it seems like you're always around when a fella needs you.
Does it feel better now?
Yeah, a lot better.
Roy, you finish this bandaging, will you? I'd better go down over to the Powells.
All right, I'll see you there after a while.
Hop in the car, you kids.
Okay.
And Jim, drop into my office tomorrow.
I will, Doc.
Oh, Dr. Christian, I knew you'd come.
Sure, we'll get everything all straightened out.
We've lost everything. Everything.
Oh, now I don't think it'll be as bad as all that. We've had floods before, and they haven't done such an awful lot of damage.
Henry wasn't there when the water started to come up. I didn't know what to do.
Well, did Henry get there at all?
Yes, and brought some men with him. They're still there again.
Oh, then they'll take care of everything. It'd take quite a little while for the water to get up into your house. They'd have plenty of time to move the furniture and things upstairs. And it's never gotten as high as you're upstairs.
No, that's right, isn't it?
Well, you'll have to do a lot of scrubbing and cleaning after the water goes down, but I'll bet you'll find you got off pretty easy.
Oh, I don't care how much work there'll be if only...
Oh, well, there you are. Nothing's happened that can't be cured by a little hard work.
Anything else I can do, Dr. Christian?
Did you put some water on to boil?
Yes.
Well, go and tell Judy that I'd like.
Help him in here.
Right over this way.
Bring him in. It's Sam Carson.
The barn collapsed, Doc. He got caught under some timbers. We had a double of a time getting him
Oh,
out.
he's dead. He's dead.
No, he isn't. Who put the bandage on his leg?
I did. He was bleeding pretty bad. I took his shirt and tied it up.
Conway, get me a basin of hot water.
All right.
Bring him in here.
Now, take it easy, old man.
Right here, Doctor?
Yes, put him on the bed. Jerry, go out to my car and see if there's another roll of bandages. If there isn't, look for Roy Davis. He's got some in his car.
Is this enough water, Dr. Christian?
Yes, put it there. The rest of you clear out.
Yeah, we're just outside here.
Okay, Doc.
All right. Smooth it out a little. You've got to work fast. He's bleeding badly.
I think he's coming to.
Well, it would have been a lot better if they had put on a tourniquet instead of this bandage. Press your fingers just above the bandage. Right there. Press hard. Now just hold it till I...
Oh, it's you, Doc.
Hello, Sam.
Certainly glad to see you.
Yes, I guess you're going to need a few repairs.
Well, you're the fellow who can make them. Leg isn't broken, is it?
No, but it's going to give you a little twinge when I put this clamp on.
You go ahead, Doc. You know what to do.
Now try and relax, and it'll be much easier.
Could I have a cigarette, Doc?
Sure.
Here's one. Thanks.
Now, I won't hurt you any more than I have to.
I know you won't, Doc.
We'll get all ready first. Now, try and think of something else. You think of the time that you and I went fishing. Remember that day?
Yeah.
You were sitting there in the boat with your line in the water, not paying very much attention. All of a sudden, you got a bite. Big trout. Snap on the lights, Judy.
All right.
Well, here we are. Back where we started from.
Oh, your clothes, Bill. That suit's a sight.
Yeah, it's kind of muddy, isn't it?
If you haven't all the qualifications for a first-class tramp.
You might take a peek in the mirror yourself.
Huh?
Is that streak of soot across your face for adornment or purely utilitarian?
Oh, heavens.
Well, this has been quite an experience for me, Dr. Christian. Do they have floods often?
Oh, no. The last one was 4 or 5 years ago.
But there's always something to keep life interesting.
I imagine.
You see, the ice jams up in the river, and then if there's a sudden thaw, it lets loose a lot of water all at once. It was this warm rain that started it.
You suppose there was much damage done?
Oh, not a great deal. If you weren't careful, most of the damage would come afterwards. Typhoid, flu, pneumonia, and
But
so on.
Dr. Christian's like the Marines. He always has the situation well in hand.
How about that fella Carson? Will he get all right?
Oh, sure. I'll have to keep my eye on him for a while to see that infection doesn't set in, but he'll be all right. Well, I guess we might as well call it a day. I'll have to get up early in the morning. Is Mr. Conway taking you home, Judy?
Oh, he has such a long drive to the city, I think I'd better...
I think I'll stay at the hotel tonight. Phone in tomorrow morning and have some clothes sent out.
Good night, and thanks for helping.
Oh, Dr. Christian, I don't want to influence your decision about that appointment, but maybe Judy and I have been wrong.
Why, Bill!
Oh, I don't mean it the way you think, Judy, but I realize tonight how much these people need him and depend on him, how much confidence they have in him. You're right, Dr. Christian. It's not going to be easy to give up your practice.
No, but then as Judy pointed out, there'll be other doctors in the commission. They'll have to give up theirs.
And Dr. Christian's made plenty of sacrifices for them already. He's had offers before. This isn't the first one. And he's always stayed on.
Yes, now that I have a little time to make arrangements.
Yes, he won't be exactly running out on his patients. This offer's too big to turn down.
What do you think, Dr. Christian?
Yes, it is too big to turn down.
And he's entitled to do more important work.
Only I wonder if there is anything more important than taking care of those who need you. Well, you know best, Dr. Christian.
I saw the lights on, so I figured you were still up.
Oh, hello, Turner. I hoped you would show up. Didn't you want to say something to me?
Yeah.
Jerry,
Now, what's the matter?
But I've changed my mind. I've got you all wrong, Conway. I had you doped out as a... Well, never mind about that. But after the way you pitched in and helped tonight, you're okay.
Well, thanks.
Say, wait. Jerry wasn't jealous, was he?
Sure, and I still am. But anyway, from now on, Conway, it'll be a case of the best man wins. What do you say?
Okay by me.
Oh, shake.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to get the breaks, Turner, because I'll be in Washington next spring, just about the time Judy and Dr. Christian arrive there.
Washington?
No, it'll be Jerry who gets the breaks. Because next spring, Judy and Dr. Christian will be doing business at the same old stand.
You're not going?
No.
But I thought you decided to accept.
Well, if he doesn't, I know what I'm going to do. Oh, well, I'll go right on working for him.
What's all this about?
Well, yeah, he had a sort of a notion that maybe the time had come to leave River's End. Mr. Conway talked me into it and then talked me out of it again. So I guess that leaves me right here where I am.
Dr. Christian stories, starring Gene Hersholdt in the title role, come to you every Sunday afternoon with the good wishes of the makers of Vaseline products, which have been standard home remedies for more than half a century. So when you buy, be sure to look for the trademark Vaseline on the package. If you don't see it, you are not getting the genuine article. And by the way, if you suffer from chapped lips and hands, remember especially the Vaseline Camphor Ice in the large 10-cent stick, and the Vaseline Lip Ice in a small lipstick container for your purse, also priced at 10 cents. All prices mentioned on this program apply only to the United States. Gene Hersholdt, who appears on this program through the courtesy of 20th Century Fox, will be back next Sunday afternoon with another delightful Dr. Christian story. We hope you will all listen in. This is Arthur Gilmore bidding you good afternoon for the makers of Vaseline Preparations.
Gene Hersholdt as Dr. Christian, as it was originally broadcast on Sunday, January 16th, 1938. We're going to hear another episode of a show from that same Sunday, The Shadow. And some of the news stories of that date include administration men hinting they would put extreme pressure on the Senate to end the prolonged filibuster against the anti-lynching bill during the week and get on with President Roosevelt's program. Leon Blum, leader of the dominant Socialist Party, accepted the task of forming a French government after he had blocked the efforts of Georges Bonnet to end France's 3-day-old cabinet crisis. 50 Japanese bombers disrupted Canton Railway's traffic over the weekend by intensified assaults, especially on the Canton-Hankou line. Trains from Hankou were held up for 24 hours while workmen repaired bridges, trestles, and trackage. From New York, 55-year-old John Rayo, former Lyndhurst, New Jersey metal lather, sought by Inspector Harold R. King for questioning in connection with the motiveless slaying of 2 Long Island women, was found in New York City. Detectives seized the short, stocky man, known also as John Rayovich, after a woman at the 15th Street rooming house in which he had lived for several weeks notified police of his whereabouts. And Boris Shumatsky disclosed to have been removed as head of the Soviet Union motion picture industry, partly because of efforts to inject political propaganda and sex interest in a production of Treasure Island. And those some of the news stories from the 16th day of January. That was 86 years ago. Up next, Orson Welles, Agnes Moorehead in an episode of The Shadow.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers, besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever. A career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
And we want to remind you that on our Wednesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Western Adventure, an episode of Gunsmoke, an episode of Have Gun Will Travel, Jimmy Stewart as a six-shooter, Hollywood Soundstage and the Oxbow Incident, and Fibber McGee and Molly. That's all coming up on our Wednesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But right now, we stay at Sunday, January 16th, 1938, and an episode of The Shadow. Orson Welles and Agnes Moorehead, the episode entitled Sabotage.
The Shadow knows.
Blue Coal presents The Shadow, the mystery man who strikes terror into the very hearts of shopsters, lawbreakers, and criminals. Today's story, Sabotage. Today's exciting adventure with The Shadow starts in just a moment. But first, I'd like to say a few words about health. Over 50% of all family colds can be traced to uneven heat or overheating in the home. So protect your family's health by burning Blue Coal, America's finest anthracite. Then you'll be sure of steady, lasting, healthful heat at less cost. The next time you order fuel, ask for Blue Coal by name. You don't have to get a full supply. Your nearest Blue Coal dealer will be glad to send you a trial ton. Phone him tomorrow.
Stand by for test number 11.
Engine room standing by, Commander.
Ship full speed ahead. What the? Engine room. Hello. Hello, engine room.
Chief Engineer Swain reporting. Boiler explosion, sir. 3 casualties, sir.
Good Lord, what happened, Commander? Boiler explosion, Lieutenant. Hard luck, sir. Luck nothing. You mean another case of sabotage? Yes, sabotage. Submarine L-21 calling submarine base. Submarine L-21 calling submarine base.
Submarine base answering L-21. Go ahead, L-21.
Submarine L-21 in distress. Submarine L-21 down off Diamond Head. Cannot rise. Emergency. Emergency. Pump damage. Looks like sabotage. Looks like sabotage. Cruiser returning to base. Cruiser returning to base. Explosion. Explosion in after gun turret. 3 dead. 6 wounded. Suspect sabotage. Suspect sabotage.
Lord. Hello. 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 Sentry post number 4 reporting. Explosion and fire. Explosion and fire and destroyer dry dock. Stag Island Shipyard! Stag Island Shipyard!
X3! Sabotage ring from Stag Island Shipyard! Read all about it! Mysterious explosion and fire wreck!
Hey, fellas, here's Admiral Keeley now. Well, what are the findings of the board, Admiral?
Yeah, Admiral, what's the dope on this sabotage ring? Gentlemen, the board has authorized me to make this statement to the press.
Let's have it, Admiral. Yeah, let's have the lowdown, Admiral.
Our inquiry indicates that all ships affected by recent acts of sabotage have all been built, reconditioned, or repaired in the Sag Island yard.
Sag Island, eh?
Yes. Every resource at the command of the government is being directed toward the apprehension of those responsible for the systematic blows at the naval defense strength of the United States.
Preston, would you mind telling me where you've been for the past 5 days? I was nearly frantic until I got your call asking me to meet you.
And why those old clothes? And why haven't you shaved?
I'm sorry, Margot. I've been at Sag Island.
Sag Island? You mean where they're having all the trouble in the shipyard?
Yes, it seemed to be a case where the shadow might be of some use to his country.
You've uncovered something. Is that why you sent for me, Lamont?
I'm not sure, but I stumbled on something last night. It's been a process of elimination.
Where are we going? Back to Sag Island?
Yes, we're almost there now.
Lamont, have you anything definite to work on? It seems so hopeless.
You forget, Margot, that I, as the shadow, have a certain gift.
You mean what the underworld call the power of invisibility?
Yes, and the ability to read other men's minds, particularly the mind of a man who has something to hide.
But you've got to find that man first, Lamont.
I know.
Do you mean that out of the 3,000 men in the Sag Island shipyard, you found the one man who has eluded the Secret Service, the police, and everyone for weeks?
I think I have, Margot. I'll know for sure tonight.
What do you want me to do, Lamont? We're coming into Sag Island now.
I want you to go to the Sag Island Hotel, take a room, and set up the shortwave radio outfit. You brought it, didn't you?
Yes, it's in the baggage compartment.
Good. Now listen, Margot. Tune in the wave I use as the shadow and wait. Wait all night if necessary. Stop the car here, Margot.
Yes. Lamont, I know you don't believe in woman's intuition. At least you pretend not
On the
to.
contrary, I have a healthy respect for intuition. I'll be careful. I have a premonition myself.
Lamont, can't you tell me anything more?
I can only tell you I'm going into that bar down the street. If this man is the one I think he is, we will have a very interesting visit in that bar.
Hey, bartender, set him up again.
Yeah, one more round.
Nothing doing, boys. Closing time.
All right. Come on, Jake. Okay. Good night. Come on, Bill. Let's go.
Good night, boys. Good night.
Holy mackerel. 2 o'clock already. An hour passes quickly when a man is talking about himself, Mr. Buckler.
What? What have I been talking about? What have I... Say, who the devil are you, anyway? If you're one of them Secret Service guys trying to pump me, you're barking up the wrong tree.
I'm not a Secret Service man.
And then what's your game?
What's yours?
You're not looking for a job. You're a phony. I have a good notion to turn you over to the cops. They're rounding up guys like you.
Sit down, Buckler. Listen to me, or you'll get us both in trouble.
Huh? Who sent you here? Who told you to look me up?
Would it help if I told you what you're thinking, Buckler?
Quit stalling. Who sent you?
It's running through your mind over and over again. I see it like a picture on a slate. You're thinking, did Arnheim send him? Did Arnheim send him?
You're a liar. I never mentioned Arnheim's name. Never heard of him.
And why are you thinking of a name you never heard? Don't be a fool, Buckler. I know.
What do you know? What did he send you for? What's wrong? Why didn't he...
Yes.
Nothing. Quit staring at me like that, or I...
You were going to say, why didn't Arnheim tell me himself? Suppose we go ask him.
No, he don't want anybody to know. If you're in on this, you ought to know that. Listen, you. I don't know how much you know or how much...
Hey, you two, it's past closing time. Come on, I'll clear out. Tomorrow's another day.
My friend and I were just leaving.
Yeah? Well, you'll have to go out through the alley. I locked up the front door, and I ain't unlocking it again.
Come along, Buckler. We can finish our talk on the way.
On the way to where?
Come along, I'll show you.
All right. We can cut through the alley. We can talk on the way.
Yes, we can talk. After you, Buckler.
Okay, come on. Hey, come on, what's the idea? We're going down the dark alley, ain't we? Hey, you, cut the comedy and come on.
Your companion has left you, Mr. Buckler. He saw your hand slip into that pocket where you carry a blackjack. He saw the picture in your mind. And knowing you meant to crush his skull, he asked me to take his place.
What is this, a frame-up? Who was that guy? Who are you?
Steve Buckler, you're a traitor. You're selling your birthright, your honor, your country's safety for money you'll never live to collect.
How do you know all that? Who are you, anyway?
This is your first excursion in crime, isn't it, Buckler?
What difference does that make? Who are you? What do you want?
If you had any contact with the underworld, you wouldn't have to ask who I am. Have you ever heard of the Shadow, Steve Buckler?
The Shadow. So that's it. That's who you are. The man who can hide anywhere that no one has ever seen.
Yes, Buckler. The man no one has ever seen. Don't move. Shall I tell you what you're thinking? I see the picture inside your head. You're thinking you'd kill me if you could only see me.
You're like that other guy. You can tell what I'm thinking. All right, you got me dead to rights. What do you want me to do?
Stop taking orders from Arnheim.
Is that all? You mean you're not going to turn me over to the Secret Service?
No. No, I'm going to give you one more chance, Steve Buckler. One last chance.
The Shadow's adventure will continue in just a moment. Meanwhile, thousands of homeowners are engaged in another kind of adventure. An adventure in home heating involving the health of your family. I am referring to the purchase of fuel. You know, if you order just any kind of coal, it's a gamble. But it's a gamble you don't have to take. Baltimore families, for example, have found out how to eliminate the risk in fuel buying. They order blue coal by name. That's why the sale of blue coal in Baltimore so far this winter is 40% ahead of sales for the same period a year ago. And this is happening in many other cities. Here is real proof that blue coal, the cream of Pennsylvania anthracite, is by actual tests the best of all fuels. It is the only solid fuel actually trademarked with a harmless blue color, so that you can tell at a glance that it is the fuel that gives low-cost heating. It is the fuel to buy for cleanliness. Baltimore homeowners like the steady, long-burning qualities of blue coal. This is a decided advantage compared to other fuels requiring so much attention. The Glen Alden Coal Company prepared blue coal especially for home use in 4 home sizes: egg, stove, chestnut, or peat. So I urge all homeowners throughout this area to find out what thousands of Baltimore families have already learned about the greater comfort, convenience, and economy of blue coal. Order your trial ton of blue coal tomorrow. You will find the name of your nearest blue coal dealer in the Where to Buy It sections of your classified telephone directory under the name of Blue Coal.
Margot Lane. Stand by. Stand by. I have found our man. He is meeting someone. The shadow will be with them. Stand by.
Who's there? Who's there?
It's Rigo. Let me in, Buckler.
Oh, okay. Where's Arnheim? Why didn't he come?
What makes you think he'd be fool enough to come here just because you sent word you're in trouble?
I've got to see him. I've got to talk to him, Rigo.
What's the matter with you? The Secret Service men been asking you questions again?
No, they don't suspect anything. But somebody else is after us. Somebody knows Arnheim is back of all this sabotage.
Well, who is it? Come on, Buckler, out with it.
Let go of me and I'll tell you. It's the Shadow.
The Shadow. Don't give me that.
It's the truth. That's why I phoned Arnheim. I got to have the money he promised me. I got to get away from here.
Listen, you fool. How did the Shadow get wise to you? How much does he know?
I'm not sure,
How did he find out unless you told him?
I didn't tell him, but he can read your mind. Listen, you got to take me to Arnheim. I got to get away.
How did you get away from the Shadow?
He let me go. Said he was giving me one last chance.
You're lying, Buckler. People don't get away from the Shadow. He doesn't let them go unless they're working for him. Listen, if you're trying to pull a double cross on Arnheim, you'll never live to tell it.
I'm telling you the truth, Rigo. You got to believe me.
All right. Maybe you are. But it just happens we've got another job for you that'll prove whether you're on the level with Arnheim or not.
I can't do anything more. The Shadow knows I'm responsible for all those accidents. He'll find me. You can't hide from anybody like that.
He'll find you dead if you don't do as you're told. Besides, Buckler, you'd like to get that $50,000 Arnheim promised you, wouldn't you?
I've done more than he asked already. I've earned that $50,000 a dozen times over.
Maybe you have. But you don't get it unless you carry out Arnheim's orders. Well, this is the last. It'll be easy for you. And it won't take you long. I'll wait for you. Take you to Arnheim's place. He'll pay you off and you can be on your way. What about it, Buckler?
What does he want this time?
It's that battle cruiser that's going out on a trial run in the morning.
It's too late to tamper with anything now, Rigo.
So what? You're turbine inspector. You're scheduled to go along. We know that.
But how? What can I do? It's too late, I tell you.
I'll show you what you're going to do. You see this metal tube?
Yeah. What do you want me to do with it?
You're going aboard the cruiser and plant that inside some piece of machinery. Some place where it'll get smashed when the engine starts.
What's in that tube?
Oh, nothing much. Just enough nitroglycerine to tear the turbines out of that cruiser.
No, I won't do it. It'd kill every man in the engine room.
It won't be the first time, Buckler.
I couldn't carry that thing into the yard. They're searching everybody, Rigo.
Quit stalling, will you? We know they don't search inspectors. That's why you've been so useful.
All right. Suppose I can get it in the machinery. Get off the ship before she sails. How do I know Arnheim will keep his word? Pay me off and let me get away.
I didn't come here to bargain with you, Buckler. All I know is Arnheim told me to bring you back after you'd carried out his orders.
All right. I'll do it. But this is the last time. Give me that tube.
Now you're talking. But look out for that stuff. It's touchy. Well, come on. What are you waiting for?
You better go first.
Nothing doing. I'm making sure you get to the yard. That cruiser sails with the flood tide. And don't try anything because I'll be waiting for you in my car when you come out. Well, come on.
Margot Lane. Drive to shipyard. Watch for black sedan parked in front of red brick building. Our man is Steve Buckler, ship inspector. I am following him into shipyard to prevent another accident. Margot, don't lose sight of that black sedan. It will lead us to the real head of the Sabotage ring.
Morning, Mr. Buckler.
Oh. Morning, Lieutenant.
Giving the turbines a bit of final inspection before we start on the trial run?
Yeah, I thought I'd have a look around.
Go right ahead. I have to check the gauges. Let me know if you find anything that needs adjustment.
I'll let you know, Lieutenant. I'll show Arnheim. I'll show him I'm not afraid to go through with this. There, now. Just wait till those turbines start spinning. Till they smash that metal tube of nitroglycerine. Just wait.
Everything look all right, Mr. Buckler?
Yeah, everything's fine. Just fine, Lieutenant. Fine.
Yes. Everything will be just fine. Just a moment. As soon as I have removed this tube of nitroglycerin that Buckler put in the turbine.
Margot, wait a minute.
Oh, Lamont, thank heavens you're here. There goes that black sedan.
Buckler and a man named Rigo. Follow them and don't get too close.
What happened in the shipyard?
Buckler tried to carry out another sabotage job for a man named Arnheim. He's the man we want.
Did you stop Buckler?
Yes, but he doesn't know it. Don't have an accident, Margot. We'll be scattered all over the landscape. Careful, Margot.
What do you mean?
Just as this metal tube I'm carrying contains enough nitroglycerin to blow us to Kingdom Come if it's jolted hard enough.
Where'd you get it, Lamont? From Buckler?
Yes, he left it in a gearbox at the battle cruiser.
Oh, so that's why you followed him into the shipyard.
Slow down, Margot. You're getting too close to that car. Yes. I had to stop that murderous scheme, even if it meant losing track of Buckler and Rigo.
But do you think they'll lead us to this man who seems to be behind all this, Arnheim?
I'm sure of it.
Look, Lamont, they're turning in that big estate.
Quick, Margot. Go off the road and stop.
Yes. Lamont, look at the sign. Redland Sanitarium. This doesn't look like a place where Arnheim would have his headquarters.
That's probably why he selected it. Well, Margot, this is it.
Lamont, you're not going in there alone.
Yes, the Shadow is going to return this little metal instrument of death to Dr. Arnheim in person.
Doctor?
Yes, just look at that sign, Margot. Redland Sanitarium, Dr. Felix Arnheim, resident physician.
Oh, please don't go in there alone, Lamont. Let's notify the state police. We can. I have the radio transmitter in the car.
Good, and I want you to call the state police on the regular wavelength 5 minutes after I've gone in the house.
Well, why not call them now?
Margot, we're not dealing with amateurs. They're undoubtedly prepared against police raids. If the police blunder in there, they'll only find an empty house. I've got to go in there alone.
Don't take that nitroglycerin with you, Lamont.
Well, Margot, I must. This tube of concentrated death is an important part of my plan to hold those men in that house until the police break in.
Oh, don't, Lamont. You said you had a premonition, remember?
Don't, Margot, worry. Call the police, and in 5 minutes, which is in the lap of the gods.
And in the hands of the shadows.
Where, Rigo?
Here he is, Dr. Arnheim.
So you have to come to tell me you're afraid, Mr. Butler. You wish to go away. Far away.
Yes, I know when I've had enough. And I want that $50,000, and I want it quick.
So, have you carried out my last instructions?
Yes, I have. And that's the finish. Pay me off and let me get away from here.
I'm afraid we must wait until we are sure of the success of your latest venture in sabotage, Mr. Butler.
Listen, Arnheim. Finding that nitroglycerine on the cruiser will be traced to me an hour after the explosion. Every Secret Service agent in this country will be after me.
We will see that they do not find you.
I'll see to that myself. Listen, you'll give me that $50,000 and let me get out of here now, or I'll...
Oh, what? Keep him covered, Mr. Rigo.
Don't make a move, Butler. I hate to shoot men in the bank.
What were you going to do if we don't pay you, Mr. Butler?
Arnheim, I'm warning you. Tell Rigo not to shoot. You think I didn't know you'd try something like this? You think I'd come here without an ace up my sleeve?
Go on, Mr. Butler.
Just this. This little bottle filled with some of the nitroglycerine you sent me to plant on the cruiser. You know what'll happen if I throw it, and I'll throw it if Rigo shoots.
Mr. Butler, you're bluffing. That metal tube was sealed and could not be opened.
You're crazy. I opened it. Poured a little out of it.
Rigo, I think Mr. Butler has served us long enough. He wants to go far away. I think we should help him.
No. Don't. I've done everything you wanted. You can't kill me. You'll be caught.
Mr. Butler, this is a sanitarium. Many persons have died here. It is quite useful. The police think nothing of one death, more or less.
Are you sure there's no nitro in that bottle, Doctor?
Quite sure. I think now, Mr. Rigo.
No, don't. The shadow warned me. I should have listened. Listen to the shadow.
Very good, Mr. Rigo. This American man of mystery, the Shadow, he interests me. You told me something over the telephone.
Yes, he got to Butler last night. He makes himself invisible. As I told you over the phone, I think we'd better get out of the country for a while.
Because of this Shadow? He's just a man using hypnotic forces that affect men's minds.
Maybe, but once he gets on your trail, there's no shaking him off.
But I know something about such forces.
He can appear in a room without being seen. How does he do it?
Some call it the powers of angels or devils. But it's the art of mesmerism. Hypnotic suggestion is very old. And certain men of modern science have developed it amazingly.
Well, no matter how he does it, I don't want to meet this Shadow.
In that case, Mr. Rigo, will you be so kind as to remove that body? I dislike the presence of the dead.
All right, I'll take care of it. I'll be in the cellar if you need me.
I shall not need you.
Hey, what's funny, Doc? What are you grinning about?
I am looking forward to a conversation I'm going to have.
Somebody coming here?
Not exactly. Don't concern yourself, Mr. Rigo. This is something beyond your comprehension.
Okay. I'll be on tap if you need me.
What are you waiting for, Shadow? Why don't you speak?
How long have you known I was in this room, Doctor?
For quite some minutes, Shadow. While I'm not a master of your art of invisibility, my mind is sensitive to such a forceful concentration as you exert to cloak your presence.
I see. Since you sent Rigo away, it is evident you are not afraid of me.
Fear is a luxury I do not allow myself, Shadow.
Your career of sabotage is over, Dr. Arnheim.
I think not. I have never met a man who did not have a prize, Shadow.
I have only one price for your kind, Doctor. Prison.
You could be very valuable to me, Shadow.
Don't reach into that drawer, Doctor. A gun is of no use.
A gun? That is a crude way of settling a difference of opinion. But, money, I can pay well.
Money won't help you.
Then you leave me no alternative. You see that little wheel set into this wall?
Yes.
I turn it, and...
Gas.
Yes, Shadow, gas. The room is airtight. Has served me well on other occasions, Shadow. You can't get out. The door is locked on the outside.
What good will it do you to kill me if you also die?
I'm not going to kill you or myself with this gas.
What then?
Just enough gas will be liberated to numb your powers of concentration. Enough to destroy your ability to remain invisible. You can't resist it, Shadow. And just the moment you will weaken, become visible, and the moment I see you, the moment I catch the faintest glimpse of a shadowy form, I shoot. The air's becoming quite heavy, Shadow.
Yes, but... Listen, Dr. Arnheim. The police are closing in, Doctor.
So, you don't trust your own powers. You had to have the police to help you.
In a few minutes, the place will be surrounded.
That is all the time I need. You will become visible. I shall kill you. And then...
And then?
I'll take the police a little while to break into this room. When they do, they will find a dead Shadow. But I shall not be here. This door behind me leads to a passageway which leads to a bay. A speedboat awaits me there.
I know about the speedboat, Dr. Arnheim.
You see? The gas is doing its work. You're weakening. Your power of invisibility is losing its... What is it, Rigo?
Doctor, quick, the police. The passageway. The speedboat is ready. We can make it. Hey, what are you doing with that gas? What's the idea?
Wait, Rigo. The Shadow. He's here in this room. In just a moment, he will become visible.
But you haven't time to wait. The police are already in the house.
Don't try to escape in that speedboat. I have turned it into a death trap, Dr. Arnheim.
Come, quick, or it'll be too late.
Wait, Dr. Arnheim. Death is waiting for you in that speedboat. A violent death of your own making.
No, you can't bluff me.
Don't listen to him, Doctor. Hurry.
All right. But remember, Shadow, we shall meet again.
I'm afraid not, my friend. But first, let me turn off this gas.
Search the place. Round everybody you find. Wilson, Harvey, Davidson, you men take me upstairs. Rest of you, follow me. Try that room, Sergeant. Okay.
Captain, this room's full of gas.
Sergeant, that iron door there. Try it.
Looks like they skipped.
What was that?
Sounded like an explosion down near the water.
Yes, it was an explosion, gentlemen. And there will be no more wrecking of warships. It was the tube of nitroglycerine intended for the new battle cruiser by Dr. Arnheim. And placed in the gears of the good doctor's own speedboat. With the compliments of the Shadow.
Ladies and gentlemen, before the Shadow leaves you, here's John Barclay, Blue Coal's heating expert. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Barclay.
Thank you, Ken Roberts. Good evening, friends. I'll venture to say plenty of you homeowners listening in have heating problems that you'd like to have straightened out right away. If that's the case, here's what you do. Phone your nearest Blue Coal dealer and ask him to send one of my John Barclay servicemen to your home. Thousands of people are enjoying new heating benefits by following the free advice of John Barclay servicemen. For example, here's what a man in Newark, New Jersey writes about getting better, more efficient results from the Blue Coal heating service. I quote, "Since doing just as we were advised by your young man, we're getting better, steadier heat than we've ever had before. At any time, I'm happy to recommend Blue Coal and your heating service. Friends, why don't you take advantage of this wonderful heating service? Remember, it's yours, absolutely free. It is part of the service that goes with Blue Coal. Just phone your nearest Blue Coal dealer. He'll be glad to send a John Barclay serviceman to inspect your heating plant. And be sure to ask that serviceman about the Blue Coal heat regulator. That inexpensive, up-to-the-minute thermostat will give you more uniform, more economical heat than you can get with the most costly oil burner. I thank you."
Thank you, Mr. Barclay. And friends, profit by Mr. Barclay's advice. Have a John Barclay serviceman stop at your home. Phone your nearest Blue Coal dealer tomorrow. You have just heard a dramatized version of one of the many copyrighted stories which appear in the Shadow magazine. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The Shadow knows.
Next week, same time, same station, Blue Coal, America's finest anthracite, will again present another thrilling adventure of the Shadow. Be sure to listen, and be sure to burn Blue Coal, the solid fuel for solid comfort.
86 years ago, January 16th, 1938, Agnes, Moorehead, Orson Welles, The Shadow. Tomorrow, Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, The Six Shooter starring Jimmy Stewart, Hollywood Soundstage production of The Oxbow Incident, and Fibber McGee and Molly coming up tomorrow. Up next, we travel to Oklahoma City for an episode of Dark Fantasy from 82 years ago, January 16th, 1942.
Whenever you drive the car, there is always an unseen, unwelcome passenger with you. That passenger is danger. The danger of a traffic accident. Unfortunately, every person seems to have the absurd notion that he bears a charmed life, that no traffic accident can happen to him. But it can, and too often it does. So when you're behind that wheel, don't take chances. Obey all traffic rules. Drive safely for life, your life, and the lives of us.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox will go back 82 years in a moment for an episode of Dark Fantasy. Among the stories of that Friday in the newspapers, The Nation last night given a glimpse of a gigantic military blueprint which will double the war strength of the Army to 3.6 million men this year and include vast expansion of mechanized ground forces and an Air Corps second to none. While a strange flurry of unconfirmed reports gave rise to fears that a U-boat had attacked another ship in New York waters, the Navy last night intensified its hunt by sea and air for the enemy submarine that torpedoed the armed anti-Axis oil tanker Norris. Navy headquarters in Washington announced after exhaustive investigation of the reports of a second U-boat victim off Long Island, it was unable to corroborate the rumors or to uncover any information corroborating such an attack. 2 officers and 7 enlisted men of the Army Air Corps killed in the crash of an Army medium bomber near Boise, Idaho late Wednesday, according to the War Department. Though some of the stories of the wartime, by the way, merchants have been warned by Red Cross officials they are not soliciting new clothing at local stores. Complaint turned in recently to the effect that unidentified people had been soliciting new clothing under the name of the Red Cross and its current drive. So there you go. Scammers even back in 1942. And now let's go on this Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox Tuesday edition to January 16th, 1942, 82 years ago, to Oklahoma City in an episode of the NBC program Dark Fantasy.
Death from the Past, starring Jane Wyatt.
I beg your pardon.
Oh, yes?
Is that your newspaper lying there on the park bench?
Why, yes, it is.
May I look at a moment, please?
Why, if you wish, of course. Here, I'll move over. Sit down.
Thank you.
Oh, there you are.
I hope you don't bring me forward. I'll only be a minute.
Oh, take as much time as you like. Here, will you roll yourself a cigarette?
What? Oh, no, thanks.
Sorry, I can't offer you a tailored one.
Oh, quite all right, thank you.
Out of a job, huh?
Yes, but don't tell me I look that desperate.
No, Well, I notice you've turned to the help wanted columns.
Yes, but somebody seems to have been there ahead of me. These ads have set me all marked up with pencil.
Maybe you can say that again.
I was lucky even to find a pencil.
Oh. You, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Nobody needs to feel sorry for me. I'll get along.
You've been to all these places you marked here in this column.
Sister, I've been there and then some.
And you didn't get one of them?
No, not one. Why, look at the soles on my shoes. Here, look. Those are yesterday's want ads I'm walking on.
How long have you been out of work?
Oh, I don't know, about 10 weeks. First, I had a lot of dough. I thought I was a wise guy, wouldn't have any trouble getting another job. I was wrong. I dropped all my money, and I've been sleeping here on this park bench for the past 3 weeks.
When do you eat?
Whenever I can. Today, I'm all right. I got a chance to make a couple of Iron Men yesterday.
Iron Men?
$1, dollars.
Oh.
You, been around town much?
Well, I've been here about 2 weeks. I came up from Sandville.
You got people here?
No. My father and stepmother live in Sandville. Well, my stepmother and I have never been anything more than barely civil to each other.
Oh, I get it. So you've come here to get a job.
Well, I've come here to get a job.
How much money you got?
Well, I really don't think that's anyone's affair.
Oh, bother. If you got to be formal about it, my name's Mark Matthew.
Mine's Luke John.
Oh, I'm serious. My name is Mark Matthew. I wasn't named after the two gentlemen who helped write the Bible.
Well, my name's Mary Billings.
Well, Miss Billings, I'm mighty pleased to know you. Now that we're thoroughly acquainted and completely good friends, you tell me when you ate last.
I'm all right.
You look hungry.
Oh, yes, I guess I am.
Join me for a hamburger?
With onions?
As you like, and a cup of coffee.
Is that a date?
Mary, well, I'm sorry I can't buy you a 35-cent blue plate.
I'd love a hamburger, Mark.
Then it's a deal.
Okay, Mr. Matthew, it is a deal.
Want another hamburger, Mary?
No, thanks. Two's plenty. You shouldn't have made me eat that second one. You sure you can't afford it?
Oh, I know where I can make $1 or so tomorrow. I'll buy some cigarettes if you don't think you can roll
No,
one.
thanks, no. And don't buy any. I really don't smoke much.
Say, you're a nice girl to know. Inexpensive.
I really don't know why I'm letting you do this for me. I'm not in the habit of...
I know. Neither am I. But my Irish mother taught me never to ignore a pretty young woman who is hungry. Say, you are pretty, you know.
I thought you were going to be different.
Yeah, I'm different. I say I'm going to feed you hamburgers, and I feed you hamburgers.
Oh, and good ones, too.
Don't I know they're good. I've been eating them for weeks.
Ma, I think I'll answer this ad.
Say, did you drag that old beaten-up newspaper in here with you?
Certainly I did. I'm still looking for a job, even if my hunger has been temporarily satisfied.
Well, if you can find a job out of that bunch, you're a better job hunter than I am.
Well, you haven't tried this one. Someone's looking for a woman.
Sound good?
Very. Listen. Wanted. Stenographer. If you are an ambitious, talented, and reasonably attractive young woman who can use the typewriter, the adding machine, and can write shorthand, apply in person to see Mr. Gibson, Friday night after midnight, room 1313, Temple Building.
Do you think you can fill the bill? Are you ambitious?
I can use the typewriter.
Are you talented?
I can operate an adding machine.
And are you reasonably attractive?
You told me you thought I'm pretty, remember? Besides, I also know how to write shorthand.
Then apply for the job by all means.
I think I will. But I don't like this apply after midnight angle.
Yeah, that is very unusual. Why at that time of night?
Well, maybe it's a night job. Anyway, I'm going to have a try at it. Room 1313, Temple Building. Where's the Temple Building?
On the other side of town.
How far, Mark?
Oh, about 10 or 12 miles.
Oh.
Hey, you need car fare. Here, take this $50.
Oh, Mark, well, I'm not going to argue about it. I'll take it. And I'll return the money tomorrow night. I get a small check from my father tomorrow morning.
That's all right, Mary.
I'll meet you... Well, let me see. I'll meet you here in the park at the same bench, and I'll let you know how I come out about the job in the Temple Building. Here's the temple building, all right. Awfully quiet in here. Dimly lighted. Nobody around. Not even a hall porter. This is a very strange place. Here. Here's the building directly. Now, let's see, what is the man's name? Oh, yes, Gibson. Gibson. No, no Gibson listed here. His company's name is probably here, but I don't know that name. Now, let's see, how does one get up to the 13th floor? Here's an open elevator, but there's no one to operate it. Oh, this is the type you operate yourself. Just step in. Press the button marked 13. The door's closed. And up we go. Oh, my. Better say a little prayer that I get this job. Amen. There. Here we are. My, it must be a night job. This entire floor is one huge office. Row after row of desks with people working at them. And brilliant lights everywhere. This certainly must be a big country.
May I help you, miss?
Oh, yes, please. I've come in answer to the ad in the newspaper.
Ad?
Oh,
Advertisement?
yes.
I'm afraid I don't know what you mean.
Mr. Gibson advertised for a young woman to do typing and shorthand. Here, I've cut out the ad. This is it.
May I see it, please? Thank you. I see. Mr. Gibson failed to tell me he had inserted an advertisement in the Bee.
Oh, but this isn't the time.
I'm sorry, young lady. Mr. Gibson uses only the Bee. You'll find his office right down this aisle, the first door to your left. Room 1313.
Thank you.
Just knock on his door and he'll answer you.
Yes, thanks. That's strange. These people all seem very modern, and yet they're dressed so quaintly. They look old-fashioned. Oh, here's the door.
Come in, please.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes, come in, please, and close the door.
Thank you.
Sit down, young lady. Don't just stand there.
Yes, sir. I've come about the job, sir. The one you mentioned in your ad in the Times?
Times? I never advertised in anything but the Bee. You read my advertisement in the Bee, I'm sure.
You want a stenographer. One who can type, use the adding machine, and take directions.
Yes.
I'm very ambitious, Mr. Gibson, and I feel that I can learn the work quickly. I'm easily taught.
Good.
Your ad asked for a moderately attractive girl. I'll try to be neat and tidy, sir.
My dear young lady, if your qualifications are as you claim, I feel you'll do very nicely. Here, take this pencil, please, and this pad. There now. Are you ready to take a letter?
Yes, sir.
Address it, Mr. Hugh Lanning, 1501 Tower Building, City. Dear Mr. Lanning, we have received your order for the office materials listed on your invoice, and I shall personally see to it that the items ordered are assembled, boxed, and shipped to you immediately. We are exceedingly thankful for your order, and we trust you will find our service up to its usual promptness and carefulness. If we may serve you again in the future, please be assured every attention will be given to your desires. Yours very truly, the Acme Office Supply Company by Jonathan Gibson. Got that?
Yes, sir.
Now, will you type it up, please? Use that machine over there. You'll find paper in the drawer.
Yes, sir.
How old are you, young lady?
22.
Your name?
Mary Billings.
Where were you born?
In Sandville. That's about 35 miles from here.
Are you ready to start work tonight if you prove satisfactory?
Oh, yes.
What salary will you expect?
That'll depend upon the work, sir. You must know what's fair.
Well, say $20 a week.
So we say that to begin with. Then if I do more than $20 worth of work, I'll ask for a raise. It's my opinion that employees should be paid according to the amount of work they do.
True, young lady. Quite true. What's your home address, please?
2132 Melrose. I'm only there temporarily. Will you please sign this, Mr. Gibson?
Yes? What? Sign what?
The letter you gave me. It's ready.
Finished? Already? Young lady, you're quite efficient. Let's see. Typing is neat. I like it.
Thank you, sir. I hope I may have the job.
Yes, of course. But one thing, Miss Billings.
Yes, sir?
Your clothes, my dear. Shall we say, A little too modern.
Modern? I thought them quite conservative.
The neckline and the skirt length and the sleeves. I'm afraid, Miss Billings, you'll be compelled to wear a tight neck dress, long sleeves, and a skirt to the ankles.
Like the others outside I dressed, sir?
Yes, exactly. And the rouge and lipstick. We don't use cosmetics for the Acme Company, Miss Billings.
Very well, sir.
And the short haircut. Bob, I believe it's called. You will let your hair grow out, Miss Billings. Meanwhile, you will add a switch to your hair.
Yes, Mr. Gibson.
Now, if you just step outside and speak to the young lady at the reception desk, she'll show your place to work and assign your duties.
Mr. Gibson, I can't thank you enough. I work very hard, and I'll try to be a credit to your company.
I'm sure you will, Miss Billings.
May I tidy up your office before I take over my work?
Tidy up my office?
Well, yes, if you pardon me. We really could stand a little cleaning and dusting. So many cobwebs and dust everywhere. But these windows look like as though they hadn't been washed in years. And your calendar needs changing, Mr. Gibson.
My calendar?
Yes, look. It says April 16th. This is January 16th.
My dear girl, you're mistaken. This is the 16th day of April.
And the calendar says 1912.
That's right. This is 1912.
But Mr. Gibson, this is 1942. And it's January, not April.
My dear young lady, are you in earnest?
Why, of course I am. This is the 16th of January, 1942.
Oh, certainly. You must be jesting.
No, Mr. Gibson, I'm not jesting. This is not 1912. It's 1942.
I can't understand what would lead you to say a thing like that. Here, young lady, this newspaper. Today's. Now look at the date on it. April the 16th, 1912. There, you see?
Gibson, you say this is today's newspaper?
Of course it is. Look at it yourself. Fresh ink. Smell it? Fresh paper.
Yes, you're right. But those headlines.
Yes, a terrible disaster.
The Titanic sank at sea on her maiden voyage.
Yes, she hit an iceberg. A sad tragedy.
That was 30 years ago. Long before I was born.
What was that? I'm afraid I don't hear very well these days.
It wasn't important. Shall I take over my work now?
Yes, if you will. We need your services very badly. Business is exceptionally good, and I'll admit it's difficult to find a young woman with as much ability as you have.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. I'll try to live up to your expectations.
I feel certain you will, Miss Billings. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask the young lady at the front desk.
Yes. Thank you, I shall. Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson. Mr. Gibson said to see you about the work I'm to do here?
Yes. You will use desk number 27. That's over there, the one with the rosebud in the vase.
Yes, I see it.
I believe I'll let you work on the first of the month invoices. Here, use these invoice blanks. The books are on that metal table by your desk.
Yes, thank you. How do you want the invoices dated?
May 1st, 1912.
May 1st, 1912.
That's right. That'll reach our customers the first day of May. And, did Mr. Gibson mention about your clothes?
Oh, yes, he did. But he said I was to go to work now and take care of changing later.
Very well. You'll find paper, pencils, and erasers in your desk.
Thank you.
I filled out this form for you. Tell me if it's correct. Name, Mary Billings. Born at Stanville, age 22. Let's see, you were born in 1890 then, weren't you?
That would be 22 years ago, wouldn't it?
Your hours will be from midnight until 8 a.m. You may take time out at 4 o'clock for refreshment. 1 hour. If you have any questions about your work, please don't hesitate to ask me.
Miss Billings speaking. Yes, Mr. Gibson. In your office? Yes, sir. I'll come in immediately. Yes, Mr. Gibson, you sent for me?
Yes. Sit down, Miss Billings. The dawn will be here soon, Miss Billings.
I don't have a watch.
And there are no clocks in the office. You noticed?
Yes.
Ah, yes. The dawn will soon be here. And all too soon.
I haven't been here long, Mr. Gibson, but I enjoy the work I've done so far.
Yes, Miss Johnson reports you give all your attention to your work. She reports that you're extremely efficient.
Oh, I'm glad, sir. I've tried to apply myself.
Yes. You were just as I expected you would be.
What was that, Mr. Gibson?
I mean, I could tell by the work you did in here for me that you would be quite capable.
I hope you like me well enough to allow me to keep the job.
I want you to go home now, my dear. You've done quite enough work for tonight.
But I'd just as soon stay my full time.
No. Won't pay to overwork the first day, you know. Here, Miss Billings, is your check.
My check?
Yes, you probably need a little money.
Why, yes, but...
No. Just cash the check and get what you need with the money.
But this check is made out for $80.
Yes. I believe that was the amount, wasn't it?
Why, I don't understand.
Would you mind going now, Miss Billings? The dawn will soon be here, and... Would you mind going now?
I know if you wish.
Thank you, my dear. And may I wish you every happiness, Miss Billings. Every happiness in the world. Good day now.
Mary! I say, Mary, wait for me.
Oh, Mark, I've been waiting so long. I thought you weren't coming.
Oh, Mary. Oh, boy, am I glad to see you. I can hardly wait all day to hurry here and tell you the news.
News?
Yes, I've got a job, and a good one. $55 a week.
Oh, Mark, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, and I got some swell ideas. I'm going to tell you one of them before long. Hey, how about your job?
Well, I got it, Mark, but I don't know what to think about it. Everything was so strange.
Yeah? What happened?
Well, I went to the Temple building, and I took the elevator up to the 13th floor. And so, I took the check and left the building, just as the dawn was beginning to break.
That's odd. Very. Look, Mary, you have to go to work at midnight, you say. Do you mind if I go along?
I know. I suppose it'll be all right.
Good. I want to get a look at the kind of a businessman who'd have a 1912 calendar on his office wall. That's some elevator, hmm? Here, push the button for yourself.
I guess they figure you cut down an overhead. No operator. Here we are. Mark.
Hey. Are you sure you pushed the right button?
I'm positive. But look at this place.
Oh, I thought you said this entire floor was an office.
Yes, it was. But now, there's nothing but one dim light. Heaps of junk and boxes, barrels, and associates.
But this floor isn't used for anything but storage space.
But there were desks here, lots of them, and people working.
Oh, but Mary, there couldn't have been.
Wait a minute. Mark, lying over there on the floor.
Oh, let's see. Oh, something glittering over here. It's a lipstick.
Mark, it's my lipstick.
What?
Yes. I missed it just after I left the building early this morning. I must have dropped it here while I was waiting for the elevator.
Then what you told me did happen.
Yes, Mark. I'm very certain of that. Very certain. Come inside a minute, Mark, will you? I want you to see the check the little man named Gibson made out to me.
Yeah, I want to see it.
There's something else I want you to look at. Something I brought with me from home. Come in.
You said this fellow Gibson had a City B newspaper on his desk.
Yes. Dated April 16th, 1912.
Well, you might not know it, but the Bee went out of business in this town 20 years ago.
But the ink was fresh. And the paper. Any newspaper printed 30 years ago would have been yellow and faded.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, is that the check?
Yes. Here.
That's for $80. Wait a minute. Do you notice this, Mary? The check's made out to Margaret Billings.
Yes. I noticed that this morning, but I thought Mr. Gibson had just made a mistake. Now, I think I know the answer.
You do? Say, what are these things in this little box? Your souvenirs?
Yes, more or less. Here, this lace handkerchief.
Oh, it's lovely.
It belonged to my mother. Her name was Margaret.
Oh, I see.
And this is a portion of the diary she kept up to a year after I was born. Let's see, 1912. 10, 11. Here's 1912.
What are you looking for, Mary?
I'm not sure, Mark. February, March, April. Here, April. April 16th. Here we are.
Well, Mary?
Mark, listen. Here's what my mother wrote in her diary on April 16th, 1912. Today, the Acme Office Supply Company on the 13th floor of the Temple Building declared bankruptcy. 42 employees were left without work. And with a month's pay due each of us. I went to Mr. Gibson, the owner, and asked for at least a portion of the money he owed me. But he said he was unable to pay a cent. He promised, however, to pay me the $80 he owed me, just as soon as possible. This was bad news for me, indeed. Almost as bad as the news the headlines carried in today's paper. Titanic was sunk at sea on her maiden voyage.
Dark fantasy.
You have heard Death from the Past, a tale of dark fantasy starring that popular Hollywood actress, Jane Wyatt, and written especially for her by Scott Bishop. We wish to thank Miss Wyatt for her most excellent portrayal tonight of Mary Billings, and we join Jane Wyatt in urging you to do your bit toward the cause nearest to President Roosevelt's heart on his Diamond Jubilee. Give to your local Mile of Dimes committee. Ben Morris was heard tonight as Mark Matthew, Eleanor Naylor Corrin was the office manager, and Muir Height played Mr. Gibson. Next Friday night at this same time, we'll bring you another unusual tale of dark fantasy, The Headless Dead. Miss Wyatt appeared tonight through the courtesy of the RKO Studios.
Dark Fantasy originates each Friday night in the studios of WKY, Oklahoma City. Tom Paxton speaking. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Was it the March of Dimes campaign that brought Jane Wyatt to Oklahoma City to star in this episode of Dark Fantasy? And yes, that is the same Jane Wyatt that starred in the television version of Father Knows Best. That was also on Star Trek, the human mother of Spock. And she had already had a little bit of fame as Ronald Colman's love interest in Frank Capra's 1937 Lost Horizon. She didn't do much radio work. This one isn't even mentioned anywhere. But she was in the 1950s on Family Theater, Hollywood Soundstage, and Theater Guild on the Air. When Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues in just a moment, we'll move from Oklahoma City and dark fantasy to an episode of Lum and Abner from Pine Ridge, Arkansas.
There's a price tag on almost everything. Whether you drive a shiny new 1952 model or a pre-war jalopy, you had to pay the price. And when you're driving that car, remember that speed also has its price. The price tag on speed violations last year was 15,000 killed and 500,000 injured. This year, thousands of lives can be saved if you and millions of other motorists come to the sober realization that speed is the biggest killer on the highways and resolve to slow down before you or someone else pays the price that must be paid for it. You can do your part by keeping within speed limits. At all times, drive as though your life depends on it. It does.
Tomorrow on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, an episode of The Six Shooter with Jimmy Stewart, Hollywood Soundstage and the Oxbow Incident, and Fibber McGee and Molly. But right now, let's go to Pine Ridge, Arkansas, and see what's going on in the life of Lum and Abner. This episode, supplied to us by Ted at RadioMemories.com, originally broadcast 82 years ago, Friday, January 16th, 1942.
The makers of Alka-Seltzer bring you Lum and Abner. Say, folks, here's a little scene taken from real life that I'm sure is mighty familiar to many of you, whether you live in a small community the size of Pine Ridge or in one of the biggest cities in the land. You work hard all week long. Then comes Friday or Saturday night and you decide that you want to go out and forget your troubles. So you go to a party, a movie, or some other place where you can have a good time. But sometimes you forget your better judgment and have too good a time. And when you wake up the next morning, you feel kind of sorry for yourself. Well, folks, there's a mighty easy, truly effective way for you to get fast relief for your after-the-party ailments. Just drink a glass of sparkling, refreshing Alka-Seltzer. You'll feel better fast when you take Alka-Seltzer for morning after misery because Alka-Seltzer offers you the quick relief you want for that aching head and that upset, jittery stomach. And say, if you'd like to avoid much of the distress of the morning after, drink a glass of Alka-Seltzer the night before, just before going to bed. Try it. Whenever you forget your better judgment and have too good a time, remember Alka-Seltzer. Get it at any drugstore, by the package, or by the glass at the soda fountain. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, Lum's plan to have Mousy talk Abner into hiring Lum as a delivery boy and general handyman didn't turn out quite as he expected. Abner hired Mousy instead, so Lum is still just an ex-partner in the store and bakery and very, very sorry he ever signed over his share of the business to Abner. As we look in on the little community today, we find Abner putting up an order of groceries, assisted by Mousy. Listen.
I reckon that's enough stuff for him, Mousy.
Are you selling all this stuff to Lum on credit?
Why, no, I ain't charging him nothing for it. I'm just going to slip over to his place while he ain't there and leave the stuff, and he won't know where it come from.
Just going to give it to him?
Well, it's half his anyway. He still owns a half interest in the store here.
I thought he signed a piece of paper giving you his half interest.
Well, he did, but I ain't going to hold him to that. I just been making out like I was sort of doing that just to bring him to his senses.
Yes, sir.
I'll let him back in a day or two. No, I couldn't run this store by myself. Lum's always looked after the buying and all such of that. He's a good businessman if he'd just tend to the store instead of going into every other business that comes along.
Well, if he comes back in the store, why, you won't need me anymore, will you?
Well, we'll work out something. Oh, well, here, I expect I better get these groceries on over while he's downtown.
Yes, sir.
He'd never take 'em if he knowed where they came from. I sure got him worried. Just hope he don't worry himself into a nervous breakdown over it. He looked awful bad in here yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's our ring. Go ahead and answer it, Mousy. And if it's somebody wanting some groceries, why, get a pencil and take down the order.
Yes, sir, I'll look after it. Hello, this is the Jot 'em Down Store and Bakery. Clerk Gray speaking. Oh, hello, Gussie. Yes, I got you an electric iron, Gussie, but I lost it. Oh, it's here in the store someplace. I hid it, and I can't think where I put it now. Well, I'll find it before I come home.
Oh, excuse me.
All right. What? No, but I don't need a muffler while I'm inside, Gussie. All right, I'll put it on then. All right. Goodbye, Gussie. Now, hello, Lum.
Whereabouts is Abner?
Why, he's out on a delivery.
Well, good. I wanted to talk to you anyway, Mousy. I think you sort of got mixed up about something. I told you to tell Abner where he could get somebody to work here in the store for $5 a week. I meant me, not you.
Yes, sir, I know that, Lum, and I tried to explain that to Abner, but he just won't listen. Says he'll hire whoever he wants to.
He did, huh?
Yes, sir.
What's the matter with him, anyway? Well, you don't have to work here, Mousy, if you don't want to. You can quit, you know.
Oh, I couldn't do that now, Lum. Gussie's so proud of me now because I'm working in the store. She's making me some black sleeve guards and everything. And besides, I just bought her an electric iron this morning, and I can't quit till I get that paid for.
Well, what about that job I give you representing a Frisbee publishing company and selling the Farm and Needlework Weekly?
Well, I'll just let you have that back, I guess, Lum.
Never mind, I don't want it back. Grannies, I'm going to be honest with you, Mousy. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm so used to being here in the store, I get downright homesick for it.
Well, it's nice work, all right. Gussie's awful proud of me, I know.
I can't understand what's come over that Abner. He used to be one of the nicest fellers I ever knowed. I give up half my interest in the store, but I never had no ideas he'd keep it. Here we was partners and the best of friends for years, and then all of a sudden he's changed to where I don't feel like I even know him no more. Appears to hate and despise me.
Oh, he doesn't hate you, Lum. As a matter of fact, I think he's kind of worried about you, I think.
Worried?
Yes, sir. He said a while ago that he hoped you didn't get a nervous breakdown over this.
Nervous breakdown?
Yes.
Did he actually say that, sure enough?
Yes, sir.
Grannies, that's it. That's what they got to have right there, a nervous breakdown. I can almost feel it coming on right now.
Can you really, Lum? Would you like for me to get you some water?
No. I think I can hold it till Abner gets back. How soon are you expecting him back?
Well, he never said how long he'd be gone.
Well, quick as we see him coming, I'll fall down on the floor and sort of moan and stuff, and you rush over and say, poor Lum, I know this was going to happen to him. I could tell it by the way he looked when he come in here.
Yes, sir.
And then when Abner says, oh, my goodness, what is it? You say, oh, it's a nervous breakdown or something like that. Now, run through that and see if you got it.
Well, I think that's the store's ring. Maybe I'd better answer the phone.
Yeah, well, hurry up.
Hello, Jot 'em Down Store and Bakery. Clerk Gray speaking. Oh, hello, Gussie. Yes. Yes, I do. Honest, I do, Gussie. No, I haven't had time to look for it yet, but I'll find it for you. Why, no, I took 'em off when I came in the store. But, Gussie, it isn't even raining. All right, I'll put 'em on. Yeah, of course I do. Goodbye, Gussie.
All right, now see if you recollect what I told you, Mousy.
Gussie's a wonderful little woman, Lum. Takes awful good care of me.
What are you looking for?
Oh, I was just looking for my overshoes.
Well, forget your overshoes, Mousy. This is more important. Now, what do you say when Abner gets here and I fall on the floor?
I say, poor Lum, oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, put more feeling in it. You feel sorrowful for me.
Oh my goodness, oh, uh-oh. Oh, it's Mr. Spears. I thought for a minute it was Abner.
Yeah, that's Grandpap. Come in, Grandpap.
Morning, Mr. Spears.
Well, howdy. Hey, whereabouts is Abner? He's out making a deliver.
He should be back before long. Can I do something for you, Mr. Spears?
No, I reckon not. I just want to see him, but I can't wait. Just tell him I dropped in to let him know I won't be able to do no reading in the library today. Broke my glasses again.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Spears.
Funny thing how I broke my glasses. Look, Grandpap, if you're in a hurry, don't let us keep you. No, I won't, Lum, thank you. There I was, had my glasses in my pocket, and I went out after an armful of wood, and who did I see but old Charlie Sheldon? And you better run along, Grandpap. You recollect old Charlie, don't you, Mousy?
No, sir, I don't believe I do, Mr. Spears.
Oh, sure you do. Win first place in the potato race at the Old Settlers' Picnic back in 1912, I believe it was.
Potato race?
What'd you say, Mousie?
I say he won first place in the potato race?
Well, now that you mention it, I believe you're right. I believe he did, yeah. How long have you and Charlie knowed one another, Mousie?
Well, I don't know him at all, Mr. Spears.
Grandpappy, if you're in such a hurry, why don't you get going? Oh, yeah, that's right. I am in a hurry, ain't I? Well, I'm sorry to have to go, Mousie. We'll chat about old Charlie some other time.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you later, fellers. So long.
Goodbye, Mr.
Yeah,
Spears.
so long. Granny, I thought he never would leave. I feared Abner's going to pop in here any minute.
Well, it's a shame he had to leave in such a hurry. He never did finish telling how he broke his glasses.
Well, I'm just glad he never. Had to get him out of here. He'd have ruined my whole nervous breakdown.
Yes, sir.
Here, now, we'd better be practicing. Did you ever see anybody have a breakdown, Mousie?
No, sir, I don't believe I ever have, Lum.
Well, me neither. But I figure they must sort of break down and fall. That's more than likely where they get the name for it.
Yes, sir.
Quick as Abner comes in the door there, I'll sort of spin and fall right on my back and start moaning and groaning, and you say that about poor Lum's had a nervous breakdown, so's he'll know for sure what disease I've got.
Yes, sir. Well, don't you think we ought to put some padding on the floor there, Lum, so you won't hurt yourself?
Now, Granny's, that's right, ain't it?
That's awful hard floor, it looks
Yeah.
like.
Wait a minute. I can sort of fall over that direction there and land on them horse blankets. Let my head hit right in the middle of them.
Yes, sir.
That way I'll have a pillar. No telling how long I'll have to lay there.
Well, I expect you better be getting ready to fall then, Lum.
Huh?
There's Abner coming up on the porch there.
Oh, my goodness. Well, why didn't you tell me? Well, look, I'll wait till he gets about halfway back in the store so as he'll be sure and see me. It's going to be a gooder knowing him.
Yeah, there he is, Lum.
Yeah. Here I go.
Any business while I was gone? Wait a minute. What's going on here?
Poor Lum. Poor Lum. He looked awful bad when he came in.
Well, he don't look good right now, neither. What's the matter with him? You ain't knocked him out again, have you, Mousie?
No, sir, it's a nervous breakdown.
Oh, my goodness, a nervous breakdown. Oh, I was afraid this had happened to him. I knowed it. Lum, speak to me. It's all my fault, Lum. I ought not to have treated you the way I did. I ought not to have did it. I doggies, he's out cold, Mousie.
Well, he must be.
Well, here, no wonder he's unconscious. Look what he hit his head on.
Oh, my goodness, let me get to the telephone.
Why, sure, call up Doc Miller. Tell him to get over here right away, Mousie. Doggies, old Lum's got a knot on his head here big as a hen egg. What was this doing under them blankets, anyway?
Hello? This is Mousie. I've got some news for you, Gussie. Yeah, I just found your electric iron.
You know, friend, there are several mighty important reasons why all of you, young and old alike, should get ample vitamins A and D each day. The protection you get when you take one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablets. Now, these short, dark days of winter, along with fewer green vegetables on the table, increase the need for additional vitamins A and D. Besides, frequently the foods we like best do not satisfy our vitamin needs. So you owe it to yourself and to your family to make sure. And here's how you can do it. Take one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablet each day. That's all you need, one tablet each day. For each one-a-day tablet is guaranteed to more than meet your minimum daily requirements of vitamins A and D, the very same vitamins that have made cod liver oil such a vital part of our nation's health program. And what's more, one-a-day tablets are mighty pleasant to the taste and convenient to take, too. So play safe and ask your druggist for one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablets right away. Remember, one tablet a day is all you take, and the cost is mighty low. And say, while you're in the drugstore, don't forget to take home a package of Alka-Seltzer tablets, too.
Sounds like the nervous breakdown didn't quite go the way Lum had hoped it would. January 16th, 1942, 82 years ago, Lum and Abner here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day on this Tuesday, and visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. Tomorrow, Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel. Let's see, Jimmy Stewart is the six-shooter, Hollywood Soundstage, and Fibber McGee and Molly. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.